disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. Just, I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He just killed a little fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. Yeah, because you got nothing. You got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Well, welcome everybody to another BD Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the true north. Yes, your good friend Mr. BDA flying solo for the moment. Today is part 2 of the boxing report cards. We're going to be looking at the top fighters of the past year, 2021, and determine how well they did. And we got about 17 fighters, I think, last time. Took us 3 hours. We're gonna try to move through quicker this time. Be that as it may. Thank you for joining us, fellas. Before we get down to the fun, let's get the business out of the way. You know the drill. If you want to keep the gravy train rolling, you can certainly do so by joining the BDA membership program. In return, you get special emojis and badges and special film analysis. But the most important thing is that you continue to like and subscribe to the show. All right, fellas. And if you want, you can donate a couple of shekels via the super chat. The most important thing is you continue to support us by listening and spreading the BDA gospel. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Talking about Andre Shooter, King Butcher's in there as well. Sean O'Connell, SSC, The Can Man, Steve P, Eparokua, Don Ramon Champ, Gonzalo's in there as well. Andre Shooter, J Money, Heretic, Iceman, Eric Gomez, and many more people to come, I am sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. J Money just dropping by as well. All right, fantastic. We're cooking with oil now. And speaking of cooking with oil, we got the Chief and Gonzalo dropping by as well. Fellas, are you there? I can't hear either one of them. Maybe it's on my end, the problem. Hold on a second. Actually, hold on a second. Fellas, can you hear me?
Right.
Can you hear me?
We could talk regularly offline later.
All right. I didn't think you guys could hear me. All right, fantastic. Well, I can hear you now. I think there was something wrong.
Yeah.
On my end. Well, listen, fellas, we're going to continue part 2 of boxing report cards or boxers report cards. It was a fantastic year. We did have somebody who wanted us to grade Jaron Ennis, and he's got a lot of hype behind him, as well he should. He's a very talented fighter. Whether he's skilled enough to translate that talent into a pound-for-pound position, or forget pound-for-pound, let's just start thinking about welterweight supremacy first. So let's get. I mean, we're gonna get down to it right away, man. See if we can get through this. Fellas, by the way, can you see the page that I'm sharing with you?
Yes.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, I can.
All right. Don't forget to, fellas, hit the like I said, and you can check us out on Spreaker and iTunes and Spotify as well. So make sure to do that. By the way, I think I'm going to open up the phone calls here to see at some point, just to see if people agree or disagree with what we're saying. For the meantime, let's try to get through a couple of these fighters. And I'm looking for... By the way, let's remind people the criteria. We got honor roll, which is the highest grade we can give somebody. That's for people that went above and beyond what a boxer normally does, meaning unify a division, cleaned out a division, maybe forget the belts. Just if you fought the best or you skipped over a couple of divisions to fight the best in another division, then that entitles you to honor roll. If you did good enough work, you passed. And if you didn't do jack squat, you get a fail as a boxer. So, all right, let's get down to it, man. People wanted this guy, and we're giving it to you. Jaron Ennis.
Got to be a pass. I mean, he had, I think 2 fights. Mm-hmm. Won them both by knockout. Stepped up to change himself from prospect to contender. And what more can you ask for a guy who's not getting a title shot?
Would you say high pass, though, Chief?
Can't say that yet, given the 2 guys that he fought were not natural welterweights. He has been accused of being a weight bully by some people, and I'm going to acknowledge that. I still think he's the heir apparent to the next big star in boxing. Him and Virgil Ortiz are right there neck and neck with each other, and who's going to take that role? But I can't give him a fail, and lost. No one's been offering him a title shot. It's not like It's not like when Hector Camacho Jr. was young and Sean Mitchell was offering him a title shot, and Camacho was ranked number 1 and not taking the title shot. Mm-hmm. This isn't happening with him. He's still getting himself ranked, and he's moving up in the rankings. He's doing everything we expect. These guys don't belong in the ring with him, and he's demonstrating that by shipping them out like he's supposed to. I've said this many times in this era. When you're fighting guys that don't belong in the ring with you, how are you beating them? Are you going 12 technical rounds and a lot of clinches, or are you shipping them out like second-rate opposition that should have been collected retirement a while ago? That's what he was doing.
It's a great way of putting it, man. It's a great way of putting it. Yeah, he could, because he's got enough athleticism and speed to do that. Just one shot at a time and just get out of the way. But that's not what he's doing. He wants to put a hurting on these fellas.
But I can't give him a high pass. I can't, because it's not like he won against a former champion. Like, it's not like he beat Sean Porter. Mm-hmm. Bud did that. If he would have done what Bud did to Sean Porter as a contender, that could have been considered a high pass, even if it wasn't for a title. But he did it to a couple guys that were former junior welterweights, title recipients of title shots. I don't remember either one of them being. Lipinets was one of them, wasn't it?
Lipinets was one, yeah. I think at the 6th or 7th round, and then
he had a title at one point in time, right? Or did he just get a title shot?
I'm not sure. You know me with the fucking titles. I don't know.
Well, I think he had a title at 40, I believe.
And Mikey beat him for that belt, right?
I'm not sure.
That's what I remember. We're gonna go on that without trying to hold us to that, but that's what we're saying. So he beat one former world champion and one former title challenger. Okay, what more can you ask from a 23-year-old? And he knocked them both out. So yeah, it's a pass. I can't give him a high pass because these guys are not at their best and they're not title holders, and it didn't even get him mandatory for anybody's belt. So.
Gonzalo, what do you think?
Yeah, I wasn't too sure of the age, but now that Chief reminded me that he's 23, I'm almost tempted to give him a high pass. I probably will, because at that age, man, he's doing all right for a 23-year-old. Considering a lot of the fighters now, they're in their 30s and they ain't doing jack squat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got the athleticism to take him out. Like Chief said, ship him out with one punch, but he's also got the ability to break through like a tough guy like Lipinets through his guard and beat him up just with punching power and I mean he is bigger than those guys. Those guys are not natural welterweights, but he's 23. I'm almost tempted and man, Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna give him a pass. I'm almost tempted to give him a high pass, but it's just gonna be a regular pass. Yeah, he's doing pretty good.
The reason why I can't give him a high pass is, or definitely not honorable because they didn't have a title. Look at what Trinidad did at 22. He was already a champion, and he was fighting Hector Camacho, Obakar, and Yorboy Campos in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's 23 and doesn't have a belt yet. It's not all his fault. He hasn't been put in those positions to get one. I get that. But when you're comparing greatness, you don't have to compare to see who would have won between the two of them. But when you're comparing greatness at 22, Trinidad had already had like 5 or 6 defenses. This guy doesn't even have a belt yet. So I give him a pass, a solid pass. I just can't give him a high pass.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, I mean, Delorme been there, done that. It's not like he's never been beaten before. And Lipinets was a 140-pounder. Jimmy, what do you think, man? For Jaron Ennis, pass, fail, or honor roll?
Pass, just regular pass, for sure. For all the things Chief said, his competition has been lame. Sorry. I mean, Lipinets came up. He was champion at 140, was beaten by Mickey Garcia. But, you know what I mean? He had already done his wars. He has no business campaigning at 147. He's looked horrible every time out. And he's only 23, but he's one of the more gifted guys at 23. I expect more. The problem is he's with Showtime, who only does business with the PBC. So I think he's going to be a twice-a-year fighter going forward, and we'll be lucky. Maybe we see one good opponent a year. I don't know. But yeah, definitely just a straight pass.
Yeah, ultimately, I like the way he beat up his opponents. But hopefully, you know, the hope here is that he doesn't go the route of other PBC guys and just completely stalls his career. Hopefully, he steps it up. So hopefully, other people are willing to step up with him. And look, if none of these welterweights want to fight him, just move up already. There's already rumblings about this guy struggling to make weight. So the future is bright for Ennis, but he just has to shake and bake, make things happen. All right.
To
So
put things in perspective real quick on this one, neither Floyd Mayweather nor Roy Jones took on a highly ranked opponent or former world champion before they won their belts, and we knew that they were still special talents that were going to be seen one day.
Mm-hmm.
I see the same thing happening with this guy.
Well,
Not that
again,
I'm not saying he's going to equal their greatness. I'm saying that I see the same beginning career potential of you can't find guys that are going to want to fight him.
That's the thing.
What
Yeah.
you're going to have to pay that guy to get in the ring with someone like him versus guys that are at the end of the rope because they need the paycheck. They're no longer ranked. You know, that's the difference there.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who they match him up with and whether those matchups are competitive or whether they're just run-of-the-mill type stuff. I mean, the future is bright for the dude, but he is hittable. So I don't want to harp on this too much, but I rewatched that clip. I rewatched that clip where he got clipped. Where he got hit by Lipinets, and his chin did meet his shoulder when he got hit by the right hand, but he recovered really quickly, or he didn't show that. Like, obviously, he saw white when he got hit by that shot, but he handled it pretty well. But then again, Lipinets, 140-pounder, not exactly a one knockout type guy, even at 140. So, I mean, we'll see, man. Hopefully, he's not too hittable, because if he starts getting hit like this by guys like Danny Garcia, then.
You know what I like about that, though, BDA? When he got hit a few times, I rewatched his fights as well, some highlights. That he's within distance to punch. He's inside the pocket, so he gets in there in position where he's comfortably enough to, like, most of the time he's going to be faster than his opponents. Obviously, he's going to get hit as well, and he'll get surprised. But most of the time, he'll probably be the one to land first, or he'll get his get back. So since he's so close, you know, it appears that, okay, his defense is not that great, but it just tells me that he's confident to sit inside the pocket and trade to where he's within distance to land his shot. And he's in position to punch through the target. And he probably knows this, and with the speed that he has, he will land. So he's going to get his get back, or he's probably going to land first, and who lands first lands last. And I've heard that the rumblings is that this guy's got a lot of power. So evidence from what I watch, I do believe that.
Yeah, you can tell when he hits, he's going. He's like, he reminds me of Errol Spence when he was coming up. The way he was brutalizing that body, it's just, I love body shots, and so I like watching Ennis fight. But it's just, we just don't know what he's going to be able to do with the PBC. Real quick, shout out to Chris K for his contribution with the super chat. Says, it hurts to say, but Triple G, big fail, was my favorite boxer. Yeah, we're going to get to that, Chris K. So thank you for your contribution. And yeah, man, some of these guys, you can cut them some slack if you like them, but there's comes a point where you fuck up too badly enough, there's no saving. Let's go to okay, so I think we're done with the welterweight division. Virgil Ortiz, actually, let's do this one. Let's do Yordenis Ugas, whom nobody really expected him to get a title shot against Manny Pacquiao. It was the miracle shot he got, and he pulled off the win and effectively retired Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, he gets a pass for me. I think he got shafted against Sean Porter. I know that wasn't this year, but the way he dealt with Pacquiao, it was a pretty close fight, and he was able to fend Pacquiao off. He was ready for him to counter him back. As soon as Pacquiao decided to get aggressive, he was going to fight fire with fire. So it was a close fight.
You're saying pass. You're saying pass, but I got to bring up the question here. This guy beat an Ultimate Hall of Famer. I know he was 42, Pacquiao was, but come on, it's still Pacquiao. Like, wait. Shouldn't we give him honor roll, Chief?
No. Too close of a fight. If he would have dominated Manny, like Manny did to Oscar, different story. But my first initial reaction when I watched it that night when we were talking about it was I thought Manny outworked him. I have not scored the fight again since then, but I've heard numerous people agree with me. And so my personal take was I didn't think they wanted Manny to... that was his last fight with PBC. He would have gone wherever he wanted to with the PBC's belt at WBA. They weren't going to let that happen. So, do I think it was a fix? Not necessarily. But they weren't going to let Manny leave with that belt, even if Manny... I mean, if Manny would have knocked him down, I would have called it a slip. I don't think Manny was going to win that fight regardless. Just like Bob didn't want Manny to leave with the WBO and go over to PBC, because then that would have shut Bud Crawford out, so Jeff Horn won. These may be coincidences, but I'm sorry, I just don't buy into too many coincidences at one time. It's definitely a pass. I'm not going to fail the guy. I just didn't think it was honor roll worthy performance.
By the way, King Bucho asks if you're about to drop some napalm on some North Vietnamese, because it sounds like you're on an old-time military radio or something.
You guys sound the same way to me right now. I got you going through my car right now. That might be the feedback.
Ah, right. It's bringing me flashbacks, man, from Vietnam.
Whiskey Alpha Zero.
Hey, I can say the entire alphabet like that.
All right,
calling a bomb coordinates.
I'm sure Gonzalo can too.
Oh yeah, Oscar Bravo. What is that? The NATO? What's it called? The NATO? It's got. What's the
all I know is it was the way to make sure that someone understood what you were saying over the. Because when things come through the radio, like the way I sound right now, comes through patch, you can't understand everything. So when you have to spell something out, you got to give them a reference to what it sounds like. And so teachers will say, alligator or apple, but the military says alpha. So
I think it's called the kinetic alphabet. Kinetic.
I believe you're right.
Put an empty chamber knife gun.
Is it phonetic or kinetic?
I think it's kinetic.
Is it kinetic? Okay.
You went old school and brought in the Deer Hunter.
Yeah, so that's it's the flashbacks. They come out of my brain and you can hear them on the air.
There's rats in here.
All right, listen, we gotta move on. Okay, speaking of commies, so Ugas, Jimmy, what do you think? Pass, honor roll, or fail?
There's no high pass, or is it just a 3?
I mean,
okay, I'll give him a high pass. I'll give him a high pass because he beat the name, but he beat a 42-year-old Shella Pacquiao, so I'm not giving him the honor roll. If he would have beat an in-prime fighter to take that, so I'll give him a high pass because coming back from a couple of losses, and earlier in his career. Again, I know we're only supposed to judge on this year's thing, and I like Gonzalo. I had him edging out Porter in that fight.
Okay,
but yeah, against Porter. But yeah, so I give him a high pass, but I do not give him honor roll.
I'm gonna go ahead and agree with all you guys. I think it's a pass. If and obviously it's an if because it never happened in this universe, but if he would have stopped at least Pacquiao or done something where he would have washed him 12 rounds to nothing or something like that, then maybe we would have considered some form of a honor roll. And he only fought once. Can you believe this? This was in July August, I believe, the fight. Why didn't they set up anything?
Can I change mine to the regular pass then? Yeah, that's right. I'm going to start really fucking getting on degrading points for guys who aren't fighting or are fighting once a year. I think that's a joke. So for that, just a pass. No high pass.
There you go, Jimmy. Jimmy's very acidic. He's not taking any guff. Salty, yeah. You're not taking any guff from anybody. Full of piss and vinegar. That's what you are. And I agree. Look,
short and bitter. Yeah.
Jimmy, it's the phonetic alphabet. Sorry. Phonetic.
Wait, somebody's saying Ugas fought twice? Am I getting it wrong here?
I think he did fight twice because he was in a fight that got him the WBA belt, and I believe that was in 2021.
He fought Ramos. Didn't he fought Ramos? Hold on. Yeah, he fought Abel.
He fought Abel Ramos.
No, sorry. He fought Abel Ramos in 2020. No,
Figueroa. He fought Figueroa's brother.
No.
The older one.
No. Gonzalo, no. He only fought
once. No, he was supposed to fight Figueroa's brother but the Manny got put in instead. So the other fight that you referred to, BDA, that was in 2020?
Yeah, that's the thing, yeah. And actually, listen, technically, you're all right. Gonzalo is correct. He did fight Figueroa in 2019, and he fought Ramos in 2020, but he only fought once this year, and that was against Manny Pacquiao. So, no momentum building. No, I mean, supposedly he's going to fight Spence now, but Spence, he's got that torn retina, apparently. Apparently, it is torn. So, how it's going to hold up, I don't know. Maybe the fight gets postponed, canceled. I mean, it's until it happens. Ugas is in a bit of a shaky situation, despite having just received the biggest win of his career, or notched the biggest win of his career, because he earned it. He went for it. All right. So at the end of the day, we all said we're gonna give him a pass. We're gonna give the kid a pass. All right. We're gonna give the kid a pass.
How old is he? Because he's Cuban. Is he still a kid, or is he getting old?
35. 30s. Yeah.
I think it's
probably close to 40, right?
Well, I mean,
his eyebrows are tall enough.
He's Cuban, right? So he's probably his late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, maybe even. You just don't know.
When they coined the definition, the 40 is the new 30. That really applies to those guys.
Exactly. All right, let's go to everyone's favorite fighter, Demetrius Andrade. And he does insist on being called Andrade, so we aim to please on this show. What do you guys think? He beat not Jason Quigley, Liam Williams in a fight that was tough. He clinched his way to a decision in the late rounds. He did hurt Williams though, so we give him credit. He can hit harder than people give him credit for, but he also got hurt in the process, and he ended up clinching his way to a decision. Then he notched another win against some Irish dude. At least he stopped him. But it was whether people are really avoiding him like he claims, or whether it's because he can't get the big fights because of promotion issues or whatever. What do you guys think? Despite all of that, pass, honor roll, fail.
I think he's a pass. He had 2 title fights. He won both of them. So, I mean, not a high pass because it wasn't great opposition.
Yep, just regular pass for me, just because he didn't lose and he won his both fights, even though the competition. I mean, that dude Liam, who he clinched to, I mean, kid's got hot. He's a dog, but completely domestic level talent. So I'm not gonna give him too much credit for that win.
I'm gonna give him a fail because he's been around for like 6-7 years, and he hasn't really fought the big names. He hasn't fought Triple G. I don't know if that's his fault or not. He's looking for the Canelo payday, but as soon as some guy steps up or comes into the scene like a Janibek, he wants to relinquish his belts and move up to 68. As soon as a tough challenge presents itself along the way, he's fucking dipping out. So I'm just gonna say that he's pretty fought like a lot of like no-namers, but as soon as a name comes in, he doesn't want to know anything about that. So give him a fair.
I mean, I understand what you guys are saying. I can appreciate that. The fact of the matter is, he did end up passing his exams, meaning his fights, even though he did it in ugly fashion against Liam Williams. He nevertheless, like I said, I give him credit for at least dropping the guy. I don't know. Again, it doesn't matter whether it's his fault or his management's fault or whether people are really avoiding him. The fact is he's not putting on the great fights. And if he was washing these guys and completely putting on sublime performances, I could give him a high pass or even a pass. But yeah, it's just his complaint. Like Gonzalo said, he complains a lot, but then when he does fight solid opposition, he doesn't really impress. And he's already 34, I think. So I think at this point, he wants that big fight. He's chasing the money. But the most important thing is, and guys like Winky Wright would have told you that, is you just got to keep winning. And eventually something's going to fall in your lap. But him going around, screaming about being a victim and that nobody wants to fight him, it's not doing much good for his profile. And his performances, like I said, they're just not that scintillating either. So I'm going to give him a pass. Whether you guys want to put an adjective on that and call it a low pass, high pass. I mean, whether you want to characterize it that way, go ahead. But the fact of the matter is, it is a pass. I just don't know if he's going to get a pass next year, though, considering the way things are going, considering the fact that he's also getting older. So,
and I agree with Gonzalo on his point. I mean, Jadovec, the kid they wanted to make his mandatory, that would have been the first fight he was in that I would have been excited for. First one ever in his entire career. And like Gonzalo said, he bails because there's too much risk and not enough reward in that. So what is he doing? He's just chasing that Canelo sweepstakes. He's going to move up. But then if Canelo goes down to 175, I'm not even sure if he's going to go back to 168. So is he going to go up to 175 to try to get it? That's how desperate these guys are to get that Canelo fight.
Yeah, they all want that payday, man. Let's move on to Jermell Charlo, 154-pound Charlo. One fight, story of the PBC, by the way. One fight, it was a high-quality fight, about as high quality as it gets at the Super Welterweight division, against the undefeated Brian Castaño for all the marbles. He ended up getting a draw. Some people say he was the beneficiary of a draw. I myself would agree with that because I had him losing the fight. Nevertheless, he did hurt Castaño twice. I thought later on in the fight, the last 2 rounds, he won them. So he ended up the fight stronger against the guy that's supposed to get stronger as the fight goes on. Guys, what do you think?
I can go real quick on that. Once a year, so there's a big fucking chunk. He only fought once this year. There's not even a talk of a date on the rematch. You know what I mean? They pushed away mandatories. They're making other mandatories. Have been waiting for this shot. I mean, that screws up like Sue. I know, was it Sue? And out in Australia, he was expecting to jump in there. But yeah, so I don't know, man. I had him losing that fight by 3 or 4 rounds. So it's hard for me to give him a pass fighting once a year, and he won by, got a draw by a gift. So if I'm going to give him a pass, I don't know, I feel kind of fraudulent because, again, I think he got beneficiary of the PBC system of judging. So I don't know. I guess just.
Well, you know what you can do, Jimmy? Here's what you can do.
I'd say pass. What's that?
I was going to say what we can do is let's see what Gonzalo says, and then maybe you can.
Yeah. Okay. You're right. There you go.
Maybe he changes your mind or clarifies your pick.
Yep.
Gonzalo, what do you think?
Yeah. So in the beginning, when you started doing the list, I was going to bring up the point that it's the COVID. So should they get a little bit more of what do you call it? A pass. Should we be more considerate because of that? Okay. Well, he fought once. That's the PBC guys also do that a lot, but he fought a quality opponent. And out of the 2 Charlos, he's the guy that's been facing the more of like the quality challenges. Debriachenko, he took the Tony Harrison rematch. He took this fight and he got the draw. He hurt Castano on 2 occasions. He won the last 2 rounds. So he clearly won 4 rounds. So that's 2 rounds up in the air. I mean, yeah, I thought Castaño won, but that's what the judges decided. And so he took the fight, and then he's already scheduled for the rematch. So the guy is fighting the tougher opposition out of the 2 brothers. It's the COVID, and you know how the PBC works. So, I mean, he did take the fight, so I'm just going to give him a pass because he got the draw. So that's it.
That's a good point. Now, that begs the question, why didn't they do the rematch in 2021? It's not like it happened in October. You know what I mean? It's like it was in the summer, so it's...
You don't have TV time slots. You don't have a network to put it on.
That's disgraceful, man. I mean, that's time lost for a guy like Jermell Charlo, who is willing to fight the best. We got Chief jumping back in. Chief, we're talking about Jermell Charlo, 154-pound Charlo. What do you think? Pass, on a roll, or fail?
Did he fight twice or just once?
Once.
I thought he
once.
And it was a controversial draw.
Yes.
He's either on academic probation or he failed. And I don't care which one you guys give him.
All right. Well, listen, I'll say this. Jimmy, did you end up changing your mind, or are you sticking to your pass?
No, I haven't really. Yeah, I was going to be kind of a low pass, but I wanted to hear what these guys said first. You know what I mean? And Chief's making me lean even more towards low pass just because, he won by robbery, fought just once.
Well, I want to read this comment from GB.
Not one. He had a draw. He kept his title. And we haven't failed any other champion that didn't lose. Why?
I know it's only because it's how he won. He won by robbery. You know what I mean? Like nobody gave him that fight. I don't think anybody in this panel.
First of all, it was a draw, so he didn't win. So that's another way you could lean towards failure. But again, we haven't given anybody that maintained their title a fail yet that I know of.
Yeah, no, that's why I was going with originally off with the pass, but then something inside I'm like, but I don't like the fact that he got that draw through bullshit by a bullshit.
Well, let me read this. Let me clarify all this.
Yep.
Well, GB Guthrie, I'm going to read his comment. He says, if we gave Estrada a pass despite the Chocolatito fight, then we have to give Mel a pass too. I agree. You know, he didn't get the win. He didn't lose the titles either. And it's not like it was a close fight that I think clearly belonged to Castaño. But at the same time, it's not like this wasn't Pernell Whitaker versus, Lopez. It was a close fight, and they're going to do it again. So about as low a pass as you can give him, perhaps, if you want to do. Okay, fine. But he did get a pass, so we're gonna go ahead and give Mel a pass. But he's yeah.
And also, I think Castaño's got a belt too, right? So he didn't get robbed out of his belt. It was like a stalemate.
Right.
Castaño kept his belt, and the other guy kept the other one too.
There you go. So I mean, it's all gonna get resolved technically this year, because they are gonna rematch. Well, that's what's going to be exciting come February or late January when they start really shaping up the schedules, and we're going to see what we have in store for March, April, stuff like that. We got somebody coughing here. Who's? Oh, it's Regular.
Oh, sorry, man. Matrix. What's going on?
How you doing, man?
We doing grading again? Who we grading?
We're grading everybody. Well, we just finished with Jermell Charlo. We gave him
failed.
Too late, man. Everybody else
failed. Yeah, he failed. He failed.
Everybody else gave him a pass, man. Yeah, everybody else gave him a pass.
I disagree with everybody else, but I'm gonna say he failed, man. He lost that fight.
Yeah, we were right on the cusp too, brother.
I respect everybody's opinion. In my opinion, he failed.
It doesn't sound like it. Sounds like you're trying to like upstage us.
No, I respect everybody. You insulted him a little bit. I respect you. So
just a little.
Right, just a little. All right. So we've gotten through Jermell. Recognize disagrees with everybody, but I mean, look, listen, he didn't deserve the win, so I can understand that his position. Let's go to who else we got here. Well, a guy that used to be a 154-pounder. Let's do this one quickly, because there's not much here to do with this guy. Jaime Munguia.
Yeah, he's improved, BD. That's for sure. He's improved a lot.
Well, let me refresh your memories about what he did, just in case it needs to be refreshed. Munguia did fight twice this year, I believe. He took on Zeremeta, who Triple G had beaten before. He stopped him, I believe. I think he made him quit. And then he went 12 tough rounds against Gabriel Rosado. To be fair, it is a rejuvenated Gabriel Rosado, but nevertheless, it is Gabriel Rosado. So, Gonzalo, you were saying, sorry, before I interrupted you.
He gets a regular pass, BDA, for me.
Mm-hmm. I can understand that. Yeah, I think that's fair. Recognize?
Pass. He gets a pass.
Pass. Jimmy?
Yeah, I just give him a regular pass.
Chief? Hey, Chief. All right. I think he's still in his car.
Chief is lost in another dimension right now.
I'm going to go ahead and assume Chief would give him a pass. And I think this is a classic pass. This is a guy that he got through his opposition. At least he stops Zedameta. If he would not been able to, if he would have been unable to stop Zedameta, he would have been in trouble. But it's a standard pass. He's in the middle of the class. He's not the best. He's not the worst. But hey, hopefully next year they can.
Look like at times he almost, you know, something, BDA. I thought he clearly won the Rosado fight. Clearly won. I had him winning 8-4, 9-3.
Sure.
Well, he almost got himself in. He was in trouble in that fight. That's what I would say. He was in trouble in a lot of spots.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. And Rosado's a strong dude now. You can tell he's very stout. He's got confidence in that right hand. Never underestimate a guy who's got confidence in his power, and very wily too. Now, very wily about how to set up that right hand. So, you know, like you said, he did take those right hands. Munguia got rocked a couple of times. Then there was, of course, that fuck up from the referee. So I mean, but he won. So hopefully he gets some big names this coming year.
A lot of the times, BDA, I also saw that Munguia, he was rolling with the shots. It almost looked like he was getting hit with the shot where you know it was like bending his neck over. But
he rolled a lot of shots.
Yeah, and it looks like he's got an iron chin too. It appears that he's got an iron chin.
That's true. That's true. Although we would like to see him fight a puncher, just to see if we can validate that. Because we need a clear demarcation of how good his chin is. By the way, fellas, are you
the shit to get off the pot with that dude for real?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it. Yeah. What's the expression again? Shit or get off the pot? Yeah.
Yeah, time to shit or get off the pot.
Exactly. It's this classic case, man. Because we don't want to see him going. His career has been very Zurdo Ramirez type. You know, it's like he's fighting guys that have already been beaten. He's obviously stronger than them, hits harder than them, but now he needs to really step it up. All right, so I pinned I can't put the phone number here on the screen. Maybe I could. I'm gonna try, but I've pinned it in the chat. So if you want to call in and just really quickly give us your agreement or disagreement about a particular fighter that we're grading. We can't do it too long because we're gonna get stuck. And last time we already spent 3 hours on about 10 fighters. So let's go to which fighter are we at here? We're in the middleweight division. Let's go with let's start with him. Get him out of the way. Triple G.
I hate to say this, it kills me, but I have to say fail.
Fail.
He didn't fight.
No grade, because he didn't lose or win.
Right? Oh, come on. No. It's got to be a fail. Inactivity is a fail. It's a big fail.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean and it's
no
not his fault because he was supposed to fight Munguia, fell through. He was supposed to fight Murata, fell through. He was supposed to fight Munguia again, fell through. He was supposed to fight Murata again, fell through. Neither Andrade nor Jermell sent him a contract that we know of. So it's not his fault. But again, he could have fought a mandatory. You know, he could have done something. And he didn't.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the IBF didn't take his belt because those guys are really quick to, like, you know, do something about that.
Well, I think it's quite clear, man. It's a fail.
But you got status. You got status, bro.
I mean, he's 40 years old. He's probably taking a break. I mean, Pacquiao took 2 years off. Okay, yeah, he gets a fail. But the middleweights are probably glad he took a vacation because they're not calling his name out.
Yeah, I'm sure they are, but the facts remain. He didn't fight. I mean, whether it's because he's tired of the sport. Look, if he's tired of the sport, I want to hear him say, I'm gone. I'm looking for this one fight, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But he's not really making any statements as far as I know. Could be wrong because I'm not really exactly looking at the periodicals every day. But just look, no fights. And I know the fight fell through and it wasn't his fault, but it's still no activity. It's inactivity. So we got to give him a fail. It is what it is. It's
you know, he was really training because I follow him on Instagram, and he was really training. He put out a lot of videos, right? And it looked like a good. Well, I didn't see no sparring, but I saw like him working out and shit, and like he was ready. He was ready for the fight, man. You know, and so it's fucked up what happened, but yeah, incomplete means you fail. You didn't show up. You didn't show up to school. So,
I mean, let's put it this way: he gets a fail, and he's still a first ballot Hall of Famer. So what does it matter?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, he's 40. At least he's in his 40s, and it's almost like he's already done what he was supposed to. But it's just, it would be nice for his legacy if he still added a couple of cherries on top of that ice cream sundae. By the way, we got a phone call here. We're gonna start. Okay, now for the caller, we're moving on to Jermall Charlo. That's Big Charlo 160, who had one fight against a just mediocre opposition in Montiel. And I give Montiel credit because he did improve. You can tell he's got some skill. But with the people that are always criticizing Triple G and Canelo for not fighting the best, blah, 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 this guy fights a guy that those guys would have taken out, and he ends up struggling. So let's go to a phone call here. 678, you're on the air. We're up at Jermall Charlo now. What would you give Jermall Charlo? Fail, pass, or honor roll? Oh, hold on a second, caller. I had you on mute. Yeah, go ahead.
Is he the one that ducked Andrade? I'm sorry, I'm fairly new to boxing.
I don't know if he ducked Andrade, but I know he hasn't fought him. So I suppose you could say, yeah, he hasn't.
No, wasn't there a contract? Was there not a contract that was signed he backed out of one of the brothers?
I don't know, man.
I never heard. Is he saying that there was a contract sent from him from Andrade?
He's saying that there was that's the rumor.
According
apparently.
Eddie Hearn, supposedly, I think I heard that Eddie Hearn said that they offered try to make the fight, and and Charlo didn't want it or didn't respond, which is the case. What he did, the same thing with Canelo. You know what I mean? They sent out an offer, like Oscar said, a lucrative. It would have been the highest payday of his career, and it didn't even supposedly get to him. It was handled above by the guy who's supposed to look up at him, but cares more about what the network thinks.
So, caller, he only fought once. It was against Montiel. He won the fight, but he struggled mightily in there. Blew his wad in the middle of the fight. Had to get a second wind, and it looked sloppy in the late round. So, what do you think? Fail, pass, or honor roll?
I say fail because I'm going to say he's the one that backed out of Andrade. And another thing I just want to point out, it's easy to call out Canelo and Golovkin, right? Because, they're superstars. It's easy to call them out. A lot of, no disrespect, but a lot of black, and this is, everybody knows about this, a lot of black boxing channels, man, are getting out of control, man. They're becoming too extreme. I'm a Mexican boxing fan, right? I love Devin Haney. I do. I like the Charlo brothers. But, man, they're capping so hard for these guys, man. It's getting ridiculous. It's getting fucking stupid. I want to see Jaime Munguia go in there and really light up one of these guys, man. I think that'll throw a curveball, a big curveball to these black channels.
All right, that's a good, interesting take on that. And you give him a fail. We'll take that into consideration as the Board of Education here. Will take that into consideration as we place our vote. Thank you for calling in, caller. We'll catch you in the next one. All right, man.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Take it easy. Yeah, because we got to move fast through this because we do have a lot of fighters to get through. Let's go to 925. You're on the air. 925. We're talking about Jermall Charlo. Pass, fail, or honor roll.
I'd give Jermall Charlo a fail. This is the one who fought Juan Montiel, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I got to give him a fail just because, as boxing fans, we've been trying to see a lot of fights, especially within the middleweight division. When you're fighting the Juan Montiels of the world, sometimes that's acceptable if you have a big fight right after. But with Charlo, he's kind of just been winning on that Canelo sweepstakes, which is a lot of other fighters. Andre, Benavidez, and these are all really good fighters. But I would like to see them fight each other rather than fighting the Juan Montiels of the world. So, yeah, I kind of got to give him a fail just because, one, he didn't look all that good in the fight. He won dominantly, but he didn't dispatch him like he should have. So I'll give him a fail. If you're going to give Triple G a fail, you got to give Charlo a fail. And Triple G didn't have a fight, but, at least he was lined up to fight a guy like Murata. And I'd say Murata is better opposition than Juan Montiel.
All right. Interesting take. Man, a lot of people saying fail so far. A lot of the callers. So 925, thank you for your call. Call back next time, right, man? All right. Take it easy out there. All right. Let's go to 661. You're on the air. 661. We're talking Jermall Charlo. We're grading him here for the past year. His performance for the past year.
What's going on, BDA?
We're doing fantastic over here, man.
No.
Jermall Charlo, I want to give him a pass.
Okay. Can you just elaborate a little bit, please? Why do you think it's because at least he got a win and he didn't look like total fucking crap, or?
I just feel like there's a lot of hype around his name, of course, but he's just another hype train. I'll give him a high pass.
High pass?
A high pass?
Yes. And while
do you know what our
we're on the
what our criteria is?
PDA, can I give Tyson Fury another rate too? Can I rate Tyson Fury?
Yeah, sure. We'll allow that. It's against protocol, but yeah, why not? Who cares?
Can we rate his voice afterwards?
We're rating you. While we're on live, I just want to make it clear that he did cheat. The first fight, he was on Adderall. The second one, we know what happened. He pinched the gloves.
Yeah, can we rate your voice afterwards? Can we rate his voice?
Let caller.
At it.
Caller, is Tyson Fury one of the China haters? Is he backed up by one of the China haters, would you say? Or
all I want to say, this is what it takes for these crackers to bring down a king like Deontay Wilder. we know the truth.
All right. Well, listen, Cookie Monster, thank you for calling in, and we'll catch you in the next one, right?
Cookie Monster, man.
Cookie Monster. BDA with the fucking zinger.
No, I gotta give credit where credit is due. Jack the Ripper in the chat said, "Is this the Cookie Monster?" No, I mean, it's obviously, some people would say, come on, what if the guy has something wrong with his voice? Trust me, I know who it is. He doesn't have anything wrong with his voice.
Mate, if that's an illness he's got going on with his throat, then I'll give him about 3 months to live. For fuck's sake.
All right. So you got, okay, so we got
three. Said that the caller failed.
Yeah, that's what some people say. All right, listen. Jermall Charlo, two callers said failed.
Can I give an opinion about Charlo?
All right, yeah, sure.
Quickly, I actually like Charlo. I mean, I think the Charlo. Which are we on about, Jermell or Jermall?
Jermall, the middleweight.
The middleweight one, Jermall. Yeah. So yeah, I quite like. I mean, a lot of people think Jermell is the better one out of the two. I actually think Jermall is. I like his style better. But yeah, I think Jermall, out of all them guys at PBC, I think he's the one I sort of like. Don't mind, you know what I mean, and he don't fall for that LDPC bullshit as well, does he? He's called them out a few times, but yeah, I mean, I just think when you're with PBC and Al Heyman, I just think if it's just hindering your career for me. You know, he's not going to get you the fights that you want. You're never going to be that superstar, because to be a superstar, you've got to beat big names and and shock the world, and he's not doing that with the guys he's fighting. He needs to be fighting. He needs to go up to middleweight and fight someone like Golovkin or someone like that and beat that guy before he can, move on with this. But just all of them at PBC going styled. But I think same with the Charlos. I mean, they're good fighters, but same as Tank, same as all of them, mate. They just seem to be all going style. They've hit their sort of limits, and now they're all going style. Not the right fights made for them. Not fighting often enough. I think it's hurting all their careers, but it is what it is.
So what'd you say? You said fail or pass? I missed it.
I mean, I've got to say foul.
Oh,
because the guy has not fought the fights that he should be fighting. If you're a world champion or that sort of level, you've got to be fighting 3 times a year, and you've got to be fighting good guys. I mean, it's just not happening. So yeah, I mean, when you look at them PBC boys, there's not really many you can say that are a pass, really, can you?
Recognize? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree in the sense that, look, man, you got a guy that only had one fight. This is the story of a lot of boxers. I'm not just going to say PBC fighters, but a lot of boxers, as they get up in age, it seems like 30 is the mark when they start having 1-2 fights a year. So this guy gets one fight, and it's against a guy that most people are expecting would knock out. Look, let's be honest. If Triple G fought this guy, if Canelo fought this guy, before the fight results, people would be screaming cherry pick, cherry pick, cherry pick. Let's be honest, right? Now imagine if they fought these guys and the same results happen.
Oh,
Canelo or Triple G get hurt in the fight. They lose like 4 rounds, the last 4 rounds or whatever. Come on. We would say they failed, right? Because the truth is that as much as people don't like these guys, they hold them to a high standard, right? They hold them to a higher standard. So he I agree with Stu. I think he failed. I think he failed in the sense that he fought a guy he should have knocked out, and almost got dropped, bro. So
yeah, this is the thing. I mean, like I said, not busy enough, and when he is fighting, it's just not it's not a sort of win that it's not a sort of win that fucking takes you to the top. It's just, oh well, he beat this guy. You know what I mean? It's just that's the problem with the Charlo. He needs to go and get a massive win, and I think we're going to see Charlo move on in his career. If he can get a big win, I think he can go and do good things. But right now, it's just going stale, and that's what happens. The thing is, you get stuck in a gear. I've always said this: when you fight guys that are, lower levels than you, just shall we say, and you should be getting out there easily, you get sort of stuck in a second, third gear, and then when you're in there with someone that's going to take you to the trenches, you try to fight fourth and fifth gear, and it's just not there. It's just stuck in third, and that's when you can, like the Harrison performance with the younger Charlo. I mean, just got too. Yeah, he just got too stuck in that gear and fucking it basically. When he needed to dig deep and up the pace and up the gear, it's just not there. You can't just turn it on in a fight. I keep saying this. You can't just turn it on and off. That's why when it's there, you've got to make the best of it. One day you're going to get up and it's gone.
It's the same thing in the industry. You stay away too long, you just can't turn it on. There are exceptions, like Mr. BDA.
But one day you get up and it just don't work anymore, does it?
Exactly.
BDA.
You got to jump start it with a bunch of jumper cables. Jimmy, what do you think, man?
What's that?
Oh, go ahead, Jimmy.
Did you say? Oh, I thought he said Jimmy. Did you say Chief? Sorry about that.
No, I said Jimmy, but if you guys work it out, fight it out, man.
All right, Chief, go. No, Chief, go.
I don't disagree with anything that Stu and Recognize said.
Nor should you.
But I can give him a D because at the time he only fought once, but that was the only person available. Munguia was his number one contender. Hasn't tried to fight him yet. Number two was I remember we went over this on the air. The only person available at that time frame in his ranking, due to the fact that Andrade hadn't sent him an offer, and Triple G hasn't sent him an offer, and Murata hasn't sent him an offer. Given he didn't send them offers either, but if we're going to mark people fairly, none of them sent him offers either this year. Nobody did. So. And now, would have possibly been turned down? Maybe. We can't get into the maybes. We go with what we have. None of them challenged him. The only person available was his number 4 contender, which was Montiel. So now, why he didn't fight later in the year, everything else, I don't know. But did he beat him? Yeah, he was ranked number 4. He was in his organization. I can give him a D. I mean, you guys give him a fail and outvote me, that's fine. But I can give him a D. D's passing.
All right. Okay, so we got a little dissent here. Disagreement, not dissent. What am I saying? Jimmy, what do you think? Jermall Charlo.
I'm just going to stay with the fail, only because Montiel was handpicked. You know what I mean? He could have made at least, even if I understand what Chief is saying, but to me, there's guys who are ranked lower than him who are more of a risk, who at least punch hard, would have made the fight more exciting. That kid was handpicked to make him look good. You know what I'm saying? He was supposed to dispatch him. Juan Montiel, for Christ's sakes, he got starched in 2 rounds by Munguia. So, yeah, and it's just a continuation of the same shit. You look, what has he done at 160? This is just a continuation fail. He's had, I think, 5 fights. You look at his resume, one-legged Hogan. You don't even go through it. It's been a joke. Sento, remember that fucking guy? Was he 60 ranked? He doesn't have a good win, right? Oh, no. Dariunchenko.
Who was coming
exactly.
What was it, a 2-fight losing streak? I think he was coming off a 2-fight losing streak, so...
And he was never the same after that Triple G fight. I think Triple G, he took too many shots.
Yeah, he took a lot of damage.
Maybe so, but I thought it was a decent fight for Charlo to take at the time, and I was quite happy to see it. We all were, really. Most of us on here, well, not me, but most of us were picking Derevchenko to win that. So obviously, it's obviously a 50-50 fight in a lot of people's eyes if people are going with Derevchenko and Charlo sort of thing. So I was quite happy with that performance for him,
Just for the record. Just for the record,
I thought he dealt with Derevchenko better than Golovkin did, to be fair.
Yeah, but just for the record, most of us actually picked Charlo, if I remember correctly.
Because he had momentum.
I believe there's quite a few people on here that was picking Derevchenko. I'm not about the the panel. I'm on about.
Oh
the people in the chat.
I remember there were people
So,
in the chat that were
yeah.
saying Davidchenko, and then when he lost, they
lot of people
switched it
were,
up.
yeah.
They switched it up to he was old, or I forget. Yeah, they made excuses for Davidchenko. But okay, so we got 3 fails and we got 1 pass from Chief Gonzalo.
Yeah,
Mind you, that's a very low pass.
Right.
Sorry, Gonzalo.
Yeah, he lost momentum with the Davidchenko performance, and he's not 23, 24 like the Jaron Ennis, Virgil Ortiz, and Ryan Garcia's of the world. He's actually 30, and based on the level of opposition, never mind that he fought one time, it's the COVID. But if you fight one time, fight somebody that's quality, and if you fight somebody that's less than stellar, like Montiel, at least put his lights out or give us a good performance, and he didn't. He got hurt. He won clearly, but he looked like shit. So I'm just gonna give him a fail. And one more thing is the way he's looking. No, the way the criteria that they believe that they're doing great things. Him and his brother, when there really aren't. His brother, he's doing better, but this guy, like they're setting the world on fire, and they're not. They're making good money, but they're kind of calling the public.
You know what?
I find with them PBC fighters, they don't really care too much about their legacies. It's all about living comfortable and having money to make it rain in nightclubs. And as long as they've got enough of that, it seems that it's never one that I want to make the history books. I want to go on and do great things. You see, the true fighters are the ones that do that. That want to go through the divisions, take big challenges. This is what I mean. People can say what they like about Canelo Alvarez, but he's the only one doing it. You know, I don't see anyone else really doing the sort of things he's doing. So you've got to give the guy credit. He's definitely not a coward or a ducker like some people call him. Definitely not. I mean, how many guys in 160 are looking to go up and fight cruiserweights? I mean, Golovkin, we just couldn't get that guy out of the middleweight division. I'd love to have seen him go up to 168 and fight Ward and Froch at the time, and there's a Kessler fight would have been an absolute war. I think Golovkin could have done quite well in that division at the time because he was at his peak, but he stayed at, and I think that's probably what's cost him. That's probably why he's not the fighter he used to be, because draining down to that weight, fighting at the same weight all them years, it's tough to stay at that weight, trust me. You know, you get older and you start to put on the weight. So he's trying every camp he has, it's probably harder for him to make the weight. And that's why we're only getting 60, 70% out of him in the ring. He looks knackered after time before he's even got in the ring, doesn't he? And I think that was a shame, really, because I think if he'd gone to 168, I think he could have had some real good fights there. Do you know what I mean? And done really well, I think, as well.
Well, listen, at the end of the day,
don't fool yourself on too much. The Bridgerweight division was started for a reason, so that the WBC could stay at that weight, so that this Canelo fight could happen. I called the fact that this would happen right after the Kovalev fight, that this would be an eventual opponent for Canelo, so that they can make the weight close to 180, which we don't know what the weight's going to be yet, but it's not going to be 190 plus. I promise you that. They purposely put this in a situation so Canelo could go for this belt.
I don't think that fight's gonna. Yeah, real quick, I don't think that fight's gonna happen, man.
It would have been nice if Golovkin in his prime had gone and fought one of these big guys at 168, because I think Golovkin Ward, I mean, that would have been a monster fight.
Well, listen, I don't want
to watch Golovkin in the UK. What a war that'd be.
Yeah, that would have been great, man. Now, people in the chat are saying, move on from Charlo. And by the way, some other people are saying, Charlo, that's the wrong picture. Well, listen, I hate to say this, but what do you want me to do, man? What do you want from me? It's the wrong picture. That's the type of show we're running here, all right, fellas? So it's it's twins. They're a minute apart in age, or 20 seconds or something, whatever. I don't know how long it took for his father to come inside the woman. I guess that makes a difference. But if it's the wrong picture, it's the wrong picture. What do you want from me? We got to move on. People said fail. Hey, by the way, just real quick.
Both got those box heads, so it's hard to tell, man.
Exactly. Look, I would have given him in a pass, like Chief, but we got to go with the majority here of the school board. He gets a fail by virtue of the fact that he was inactive. He fought a guy that was subpar, and he looked subpar doing it. So whatever the reason, whatever the excuses, we really don't care. We care about the results. So Charlo, I got a fail. Let's move on to what here? Hold on a second. Okay, so we're at middleweight. Now I suppose. Oh no, wait. Okay, let's go to.
We're all going to hell, BDA. We're all going to hell. That's where we're moving to.
I think we're already there. No, I'm kidding. Canelo, Saul Canelo Alvarez, 3 fights, 2 against.
Well, he's not a middleweight.
Right. Well, that's why we're going up to super middleweight now.
Okay.
2 fights against undefeated opponents. 1 tune-up in the beginning of the year. All stoppages. Fellas, what do you think?
It's got to be an honorable.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he went undisputed, right? How many fights he had this year?
3.
3.
All right, so he fought he fought Billy Joe Saunders, undefeated champion.
Smith.
Callum Smith. So he fought Callum Smith. Then all in 2021. So he fought. He fought Callum Smith, undefeated champion. BGS, Billy Joe Saunders, undefeated champion. And what's his name? Plant, undefeated champion. So he fought three undefeated champions. I mean, come on, man.
Negative.
It was 2 in the Turkish guy. I believe.
Oh, okay. But even if you discounted, let's say, that's a cherry pick.
Yeah,
the Turkish guy, that was a cherry pick. Right? That was a stay busy fight. He just wanted to stay busy. I just count the two fights, Billy Joe Saunders and Plant, 2 undefeated champions for him to become undisputed, and he wins those fights by TKO. So but
it does matter what you're saying. Recognize to put it into context that he was just trying to unify. So the other fight, the Callum Smith, does count in the sense that he was following that sequence.
Right, I thought he fought. No, I just thought he fought Callum Smith in the same year. I thought he fought him. Yildirim is a. But even if you discount Yildirim, which was a cherry pick, and you had the 2 fights that he had in 2021, I thought it was Callum Smith, but I might be wrong. I guess I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, Callum Smith was last year.
Okay, so Callum Smith was 2020, right?
Yeah, okay, it was late. It was like in October, I believe. So no, but he's staying as busy as he can.
All right, so look, like I said, I'm not really counting the Yildirim fight. That's a cherry pick.
That was a mandatory.
It's a cherry pick. I don't care if it's a mandatory. It's a fucking cherry pick. It's not a fight. It's ex-sparring partner.
Chris Eubank Jr. not that guy. Chris Eubank Jr. guy, he knocked that guy out in 2 rounds in devastating fashion.
Come on, man. That's a cherry pick. I'm only going by the 2 fights that he had, and he won by TKO stoppage against 2 undefeated champions. 2 guys who never lost a boxing fight, who were champions, and he beat both of those guys by TKO. That right there gets him in. Even if those were the only 2 fights he had.
All right, so let's just go around. Yay or nay? Honor roll. Everybody's saying yay or nay.
Yeah, honor roll for sure.
Yeah,
well, I'm the one that nominated him, so.
Yeah, and one thing else, I don't think there was any real glaring ace side advantages on this one, like weight clause and rehydration clause like that. So yeah, no, he gets a high pass. Yeah, nobody better say anything else about Mike Canelo. No, sorry, Bob.
Oh man, I don't know what.
You only gave him a high pass?
You gotta be careful what you say on this panel about Canelo.
I get
I can understand why people might not like Canelo for certain reasons, but to say anybody that says they don't rate this guy as a fighter just doesn't understand boxing for me. I mean, the guy is world class, and like I said, it's not just his punching power; it's his defensive skills as well. I mean, like I said, he's hard to hit. Clean, you know what I mean? His reflexes, his counter punching, he just does everything very well. I mean, probably his weak link is slow feet, but he's even worked on that, and he's cutting the ring off a lot better. When he's getting behind that guard and stalking you and just weaving and bobbing, fucking hell, I mean, he is an absolute monster, and you got to appreciate I said he's made so much money. You don't need a fight, but look, this is what makes the greats. This guy's made more money than all these guys put together, but yet he's still in the gym, busy, fucking lives and breathes boxing. That's why he is making the money he is, and these guys are not.
All right. Well, listen. Everybody said Gonzalo said high pass, but everyone else said honor roll.
Honor roll. Is there something higher than? Is there something higher than honor roll?
No, and if there were, we wouldn't be giving it to Canelo. Because let me just go on the record. I agree with all of you.
I'm just kidding.
Okay. Well, let me just say this. I'm gonna go on record and say that I'm gonna agree with all of you with the honor roll, but his whole run at 168 was very Terence Crawfordish at 140. It's not like he beat any real top pound for pound.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that for this reason. Only for this reason, right? Because hold on, time out. He was fighting guys bigger than him. You could see it in the ring. They're fucking much taller than him. They're bigger. These guys, they fought like shit when it came down to fighting Canelo, but like they were bigger dudes, man. And they were like, most of them were undefeated. They were all undefeated, just about.
Yeah, Billy Joe Saunders is a tricky dude.
Yeah,
with Canelo, I think he makes his fighters panic. He even when he's not doing anything, he's got you constantly working and thinking. And I think a lot of fighters panic. Have you noticed? There's a lot of desperation in their work. I mean, Callum Smith was hitting air all night. I mean, just not mixing the punches, not setting his punches up, just throwing desperate shots. And Canelo was seeing them all day long. It's just the way he stalks you, and he's just. I think it's the mental games with Canelo as much as the physical, I think.
Well, I agree with that, but and I agree with. Well, go ahead, Jimmy. Yeah.
No, I was going to say the three guys he fought to win the belt were 78-0. All right, 78 wins, no losses, and none of them had ever been stopped before. And I think neither have even been down. No, was Saunders ever down before? I don't know, but none of them were ever stopped. All bigger than him, and he stopped two of the three. I understand the other one was late 2020. Yildirim was, and I understand what Chief was saying. I understand I agree with both. It seems like, a cherry pick is just a terminology, but I use that when somebody deliberately bypasses good opponents to cherry pick someone to make them like, I want that dude because I could beat him up and I don't have to train hard. But if it's a mandatory, even if it sucks, I don't just call that a cherry pick. But yeah, it's still the same label, cherry pick, because it is what it is. It has the same connotation. It was just a soft touch for him.
Exactly. Allow me to say this. If anybody out there, I'm giving him the honor roll because I'm agreeing with everybody else. If anybody out there in the chat disagrees with the fact that I'm putting a bit of an asterisk in there, I would like you to call in and tell me, because look, Billy Joe Saunders had one foot out the door. He was busy pretending to be a police officer and pulling people over in the streets and getting them to strip to their undies. Callum Smith, nobody here gave him a shot at winning. I tried like hell to do a show on a preview on the show. All of you guys was like, "Nah, he's
somewhat of a shot." I gave him
come on. After the Ryder performance, I remember you said the guy didn't have a shot.
No, what I said was if he could fight to his game plan, he could give Canelo problems, but he didn't. He fought like a dude that was scared. That's what he fought like.
And look how he's looking now. He beat Lenny Castillo, knocked him out like in 2 rounds. And you know what? Plan and Billy Joe Saunders, they're pretty squirrely dudes, man. They're hard. You can only do so much as your opponent allows you to when it comes to a
Who knocked 2 out in 2 rounds?
Oh, he knocked out that fucking Lennon Castillo. He fought
that who?
Callum Smith knocked out Lennon Castillo in the undercard.
The guy that went the distance with Bivol. The guy that went the distance with Bivol, I believe.
And you might have missed this, too. He made him have a seizure, bro, in the ring.
I think, I saw it. It was good. It was a horrible knockout. Yeah. Callum Smith's a dangerous guy. I mean, like I said, the guy was one of the top guys in the division, so you can't really say that's a cherry pick. Caleb Plant, they kept telling us Caleb Plant was going to beat Canelo, a lot of these guys, especially from that side. So I don't think it was... and neither of them are cherry. Obviously, the Yildirim thing was put on him. I mean, that was disgraceful. But the other two, great wins for me.
Yeah, right. Callum was the Ring Magazine champ too, right? The lineal champ at that division, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
probably was. Yeah, because he won the. Remember, he won that tournament, the World Series, whatever that shit was called, right?
Super Six.
The World Series of Boxing, right? No, it was the worldwide. Yeah, whatever. I know exactly. You said the big golden trophy.
WSC.
The Muhammad Ali trophy.
Yeah.
Yes. The thing is, you can't. It's like you can't hold against somebody. I understand. You just can't hold it against Canelo for who the champions were. That's the division he was campaigning in. Everybody says, well, he could have did that at 160 outside of Triple G. Does anybody really think Jermall Charlo is going to give him a hard time at 160? I don't.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, that's the standard I have for Crawford.
He felt that he could make these fights, right? And there would be no issues. And he made the fight, and it was like you just judge the fights he had, and you got to say, damn, he kind of went through that division pretty easy.
He went to a division where the fights would be easy to be made, whether there were easy fights for him to win or not. We can't really comment on that why he picked it. You'd have to get in his head for that. You can't. None of us can intelligently answer that. That's why he pick that division. You can
and these guys
speculate.
were undefeated, right? And they were undefeated.
All you
Can I
want
ask
to,
you
but-
guys a question? Can I ask you guys a question? Do you think the Kovalev fight was a cherry pick?
Yes, I think it was a cherry pick. I think so.
Yeah,
That was a short notice.
I think he picked somebody that was going to be a big name, was going to bring a lot of attention to him, that he knew was on the downslide.
He was Canelo.
It's risky. Like, it's a risky fight. It's definitely a risky fight because the guy could have a good night and that could be your ass, right? But
yeah, exactly, right. Yeah,
that could be. But he didn't. It was well calculated. Maybe it was a well calculated move on his part. He said, "You know what? I'll fight this guy now who's like 30. What was he at the time? 36. It's like I'll fight this 36-year-old dude who's just coming off a fight. He's been knocked out in the recent time.
A drinking problem as well, isn't he?
Right. I mean, so that's what they say. I don't know if that's true or not.
All right, let's not jump into Let's not jump into Canelo Kovalev, man. Let's not jump into Canelo Kovalev because we're gonna go all night and we got other guys to get to. By the way, shout out.
Look, he gets on the roll, but one thing that he's missing, and I kind of agree with BD. I think this is where he's going. He's missing a signature opponent, a marquee opponent, a signature win. He still needs to get that in his career. He hasn't achieved that.
Yeah, because Triple G, I mean, those were extremely close. Well, the first one he shouldn't have won, and the second one was very close.
His weight class, BDA. Who's the signature guy outside of Triple G? Who's like this guy that? I'm trying to be fair here. Like when I'm saying this, I hear that. Who he has? I always hear this about Canelo, right? And I criticize Canelo all the time, but I'm just talking boxing resume. That's what I'm talking about. People say, "Well, who has he beaten?" I'm like, okay, name the marquee guy that he can beat that would be like outside of Triple G.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Charlo, to go to 175.
Benavidez, is Benavidez a star? No, I like the kid, but I don't think he's a star.
Well, speaking of Benavidez, that's where we're at right now. But by the way, real quick, shout out to Kenshiro for his contribution with the Super Chat. Says, I reckon Chris Eubank Jr. can beat Charlo. Oh, well, Chris Eubank Jr. has a heck of an uppercut on the inside, and Charlo had a difficult time against Montiel's uppercuts.
Let me tell you something, BDA. That's a tough fight. Whoever said that is spot on. I think I'll take Charlo, but I'm not too confident. Eubank could probably hurt him, man, and probably beat him.
I agree, man.
The thing about Eubank is anyone with any sort of footwork and a decent jab, he struggles.
That's his ass, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, he just can't deal with movement because he just doesn't cut the ring off very well.
But the thing about him, too, he's a warrior. He doesn't. You can't fucking just go in there and knock him out. Not
definitely. Charlo, I don't think Charlo would knock out Eubank. I think he's got his dad's chin, isn't he?
Eubank to me is what Steve Kim, when he talks about practice fighters, he's one of those guys who looks good with the videos and the hitting the mitts, doing the mitt, coordinated, choreographed mitt dancing videos and the fucking, you know what I mean? But it's not the same thing as fighting. And when he gets into a fight, he realizes, like Groves. I mean, Christ, Groves was washed when he beat him, right?
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, I mean, he got to the final. That's something, right? But, well, listen. Right now, we're at David Benavidez. He had two wins, 2 stoppage wins. One was against Ronald Ellis, who's more known for being Canelo's sparring partner. I mean, he's a good fighter, don't get me wrong, but not much accomplishments in the professional ranks. And then he fought Jaron Davis. He was supposed to fight Usyk, but then Usyk ended up testing positive for EPO, I believe. So they had to replace him with Jaron Davis, who's a light version of Ronald Ellis. Now, nonetheless, he stopped them, but at this point, you gotta wonder with David Benavidez. Great arsenal of punches. He stops guys, he brutalizes them, but it was subpar competition this year.
Yep. I give him a low fail.
Well, first of all, there's no such thing as a low fail.
I'm joking. I'm just regular fail then.
Isn't
that a low fail? Because don't we have a high fail?
Wait,
no, no. Don't we have a high pass? That's what I meant I meant low pass. I didn't mean fail. That was stupid. I meant low pass, meaning like the lower of the 2 passes.
Yeah, and I'm with Jimmy on this.
Yeah. Who are we talking about? I'm sorry. I kind of...
Benavidez.
Go ahead, Chief. Benavidez? Remind me of his resume again, or remind me of the fights he had this year.
Stoppage win over Ronald Ellis and another stoppage over Jaron Davis.
Dragged up from a lower weight
just
class.
a pass. I mean, to me, just a pass because
Yeah.
those are guys he should beat, and he beat them, and he stopped them. So, yeah, pass.
Did what he was supposed to do. No extracurricular, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. No,
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Chief.
No,
Go ahead,
don't
Chief.
do that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he did what he was supposed to in the sense that he fought twice, and he needs to keep the weight off, and he needs to stay disciplined because he's got caught doing the illegal stuff. So it was in his best interest to stay busy for him and for his father, to look out for his future, to stay relevant and get ranked or get up a shot at the title. So he did what he was supposed to for a PBC fighter. He fought twice against okay opposition. So I mean, he did all right. He gets a pass.
All right.
And just like I said earlier, BDA, these guys didn't belong in the ring with him. So what did he do?
Took him out. Yeah.
He beat them up and took them out. So that when lesser guys are in the ring with you, and this is the reason why we're so hard on Charlo, a lesser guy was in the ring with him, given the guy had 22 wins and 22 knockouts against Charlo. But Charlo still should have been able to finish this guy since he supposedly has middleweight power, and this guy was knocked out by Munguia at welterweight. Back to Benavidez. Two guys that don't belong in the ring with him, and he knocked him out.
That's a good point. Now,
The one thing, a lot of people, and real quick, a lot of people like to give Triple G a lot of slack about his resume, and maybe some of it is deserved, right? But the one thing you can't ever accuse Triple G of doing is that if it's an opponent that people think he should just walk through, he does it. He beats the shit out of them. You know, he makes sure, and that's the sign of you being a very elite fighter. Is that when you're fighting guys that you're not supposed to be in the ring with, and the expression, you dog walk them, you beat them up until you stop them. You know, they stop him because you're beating him up too much. You know what I'm saying? So that's the sign of a good fighter that can give A-level fighters problems and even maybe beat them. That's the sign right there. So that's why I say he gets a pass.
Even Pernell Whitaker did that to an extent, because there was a guy named Benny Baez who was a losing record guy. He took the fight on USA Tuesday Night Fights, and he knocked him out with one punch. Pernell Whitaker. But it was a guy that didn't belong in the ring with him.
Yeah.
Correct. So
I mean, even in
he couldn't
right.
do anybody else in his career at a world class level, but this guy did not belong in the ring with him, and he did what he was supposed to do.
I mean, even light punching guys like Winky Wright and Sean Bay Mitchell, if they got a mandatory defense or something, or an optional defense, they would stop the guy. So Benavidez, he like Recognize said, he's consistent with power punches. He hasn't been inconsistent since the first Gavril fight. Now, okay, the Usyk fight fell through. It's not his fault, but it still fell through. He still didn't fight. It's not, whether it's his fault or not, he didn't fight the best opposition. And even if he would have been Usyk, by the way, it still would have been just a pass because Usyk is coming off 2 losses. He hasn't had a win.
Been better. Yeah, it's true. He's coming off 2 losses. It would have been better to fight Usyk because at least it's a former champion. You know, you want those guys in your resume, like champions or former champions, as you go along. But you know, again, when you handle these guys the way you're supposed to handle them, it's hard to fail a guy, man. It's really hard to fail him. I just would like to see him get in better shape, really. I don't know about you, but he looks kind of droopy in there, which is kind of sad for a 25-year-old, some shit like that. I forget his age.
Apparently it's because he used to be a fatso when he was a kid.
No, so. I get it. Yeah, no, totally. I get that shit. Like, you know, but it's not a good look, bro. It's just not. I mean, boy got hands. Don't get me wrong. You go in there and you look at his body, you thinking that boy's soft. You're in for a big surprise, you know, if you do that with him. But it's just not a good look, man.
I agree, man. I agree. That's he needs to maybe get some surgery on those titties. I don't know why, because it doesn't look good, man. Maybe
to go to DR. You ever hear about what happens in DR? They do those these fucking girls go over there, and some dudes too. They do like this surgery on their fucking stomach or whatever.
Oh yeah,
it's
like they tighten that. He needs to tighten those tits up, make them firmer, nice firm tits. All right.
They come back looking weirder too. The funny thing is that a lot of people that I know that did that, they come back looking fucking weird. I'm like, is something happened to you?
You know, in Brazil, they get the butt transplants. It's not even. I'm not even kidding. And there was a woman that ended up. She ended up getting an infection because the thing broke and the plastic went into the flesh or something. So
I mean, do they not realize they end up looking more like men when they do these type of surgery? Like, who's attracted to that? I mean, whatever. A different topic for a different show.
Right. Well, somebody is, right? Because that's why they keep getting them.
Somebody likes it. I know guys like that. I'm like, dude, you guys are thirsty, man. Thirsty motherfuckers, man.
All right, let's go to Caleb Plant. He had 2 fights, 1 win over Truex, a loss against Canelo, stoppage loss. But remember, not just because you lose doesn't necessarily mean it's a fail, or is it? What do you guys think?
I give him a pass.
He gets a low pass. Go ahead. Sorry, Jimmy.
No, that was it, brother. I wasn't going to go deep on you. I was just throwing it out there. I give him a pass.
Yeah, he fought well against Canelo. He did all right. He just ran out of ideas. And as soon as he ran out of ideas, man, Canelo pinned him up against the ropes. And that was it.
Whether it was for the money or for the fucking glory, who cares? He fought him. At least he stepped in against somebody he wasn't. How many PVC guys? Go back and throughout the history. It is a fraction of their champions ever fight anybody who they're not at least, a 5-1. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's probably the reason why against top-ranked fighters in championship fights, they're 4 wins, and now after the latest one, so they're 4 wins and 18 losses.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, somebody in the chat said he dared to be great. I will say maybe we could give him a fail for. He came up with this on Twitter. He said he ordered some shoes from a website he thought was a reputable one, and he ended up getting scammed. So he needs to call the Better Business Bureau or somebody to get that straightened out, because that's a fail right there, man. You always check the website and its reputation before you order something, especially something expensive. Like he was ordering a bunch of custom-made shoes or something like that, or some sort of special novelty shoe. Caleb Plant.
Yeah, he got burnt. He thought he was getting custom-made sneakers, but it was Canelo's cousin. They were trolling him.
It was Canelo's cousin. Este güey, ya lo tenemos. All right, listen.
I don't know.
He got the pirated version of the shoes.
You are not at my level.
Hey, don't call me motherfucker. Yeah, he called the company. He called them motherfuckers. Don't call me. Don't talk about my mother. Don't talk about my mother. All right.
Caleb Plant. I got an audio of Caleb Plant calling in.
Go ahead.
He calls in, right? Hello, this is Taylor Shoes. How can I help you? Hello? Yes, what do you want? Is this Canelo? No, asshole. Just give me your order and I send you nice shoes.
It was Canelo's brother. They sound the same, by the way. Canelo, all his brothers, they all talk with that high-pitched voice that creeps people out. All right.
They all dark too. I mean, what I mean by dark, they got darker features, right? Like they all fucking dark hair. They look Mexican. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
and then you should have did just a good Vanilla Rice interpretation, because it's how Plant talks. Let's be honest. Kind of funny, actually.
No dogs.
Oh yeah, big time. Oh yeah.
All right, let's go to Dmitry Bivol over at light heavyweight. Actually, you know what? He's got, which title does he have? Does anybody know by offhand?
WBO, I believe.
WBO. Okay, so which, by the way, it's only recently become one of the belts. Before that, people used to make fun of that belt because it was just a bunch of Europeans that held it.
What, in the 2000s, early 2000s, BDA?
Yeah. Now all of a sudden, hey, he needs that WBO so he can fucking unify. By the way, it's WBA. People are saying WBA.
Oh yeah, WBA. That's right. Sorry.
Well, BDA, can I? My opinion on Bivol, I'm very high on him. His footwork, I think, is second to nobody. I think described it as like a fencer, right? Mm-hmm. So Steve Kim, I'm gonna borrow a quote from his. I think it was it was on 3 Knockdown Rule 2 weeks ago. He said it was perfect. He said, yes, this kid is great, but he's Bivol the boring. Nothing's changed. 6, wins without stepping in. It might be because he got rocked like 6 fights ago, and he might have changed his style. We don't know. But he said, and this was a perfect quote, we all know he can fence, but it's time to get into a knife fight. And I was like, man, that's right. Perfect. Right? I thought that was the perfect line. We all know he can fence, but it's time for a knife fight.
It's a great way of putting it. He needs to channel his inner Latino and take out that knife, that machete, and go to town.
Looks like we would call him El Chino, right? If he was one of us.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, even El Chino. No, but you know what? All right. So what do you guys think, Bivol? So Jimmy, you're saying pass or?
I say pass because he won. I mean, he did win. We've gone off that criteria. If a champion has a defense and he wins, can you really fail him?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, his fights are listen, they're boring as fucking all outdoors. He just doesn't care, and it's made me dislike him as I appreciate his abilities. I get his balance is insane. It really is. Just watch his shoulders. They never dip. They stay on that same parallel. He's got great balance. You can tell he's got strong calves and whatnot. But, all right, dude. Enough, dude. Step the fuck into the pocket and let some rip. Take a shot, dude. You know what I mean? You're not selling the sport. You're not selling your brand. You're standing now. You're like that fucking pauper kid with your bull. Please, can I have a Canelo fight? Like that fucking meme I saw on Twitter.
That's what it is, Jimmy. A lot of these guys they start banking on the big fight, and maybe they're saving themselves. Maybe they're like in their mind, they're like, I don't want to get into a dog fight where I try to go for the kill. The guy catches me with a good shot. Then it becomes like
goes in the night, and we know it's cost him, right, bro? I mean, Bob Arum just came out this week and straight up said, because they said, what about a Beterbiev, Beterbiev, who he represents, Bivol? No, the kid's boring. He doesn't want to start the fight because he just doesn't want to pay his kid the money.
That would be exciting because Beterbiev will make him fight. That's the one thing about Beterbiev. He'll make that dude fight.
But at 39, I think Bob's thinking, this is my thought process, is like Bob saying, after watching Beterbiev, Ward wasn't wrong. I thought there was a few things about Beterbiev. There was shots to be had that he would have taken a couple of years ago. He's 39. It happens. You know what I mean? I mean, you can... Father Time's undefeated, and Bivol's got enough balance. Remember, because he's gonna hurt you everywhere he hits you. So the shoulder, the forearm, you know what I mean. He's got that dense Russian fucking, like you said, farm boy muscle. You know what I mean? Just he'll just lift bales of hay all day. So but he would have to he needs to be in close. Like he loses a lot of power because he doesn't really flow through on his punches. So all his punches, it's all in the mid range. It's when he gets you in tight. Bivol's got enough of a balance and footwork to really avoid that. So I think it could be a fucking snoozer of a fight. And I think Bob doesn't want to waste how many fights he has left. I think he really wants the Canelo fight myself, but that's Bob. I think Bob wants that. But so his style, bottom line though, the fact that Bob Allen's saying he's boring, he just did that to himself. He's only got himself to blame. Sorry for the long rant.
So that's okay, yeah. No, but it put things into perspective about the opposition, and not for nothing, but the opposition too. I'm looking at his box rec here just to refresh my memory about what his accomplishments are. He ended up going on a good run against in 2018 when he stopped Sullivan Barrera, who nobody had done that at the time, and Barrera still had a little something left. He beat the always tough Isaac Chilemba, Jean Pascal, Joe Smith Jr. Then in 2019, Lenin Castillo. Then he doesn't fight at all in 2020. And this year he fought Craig Richards and Umar Salamov. Decent, opponents. People could say, they're Europeans, so they're not good. No, they're solid dudes, but they're also nondescript opposition. And it's not like he ran them over or anything. In fact, in the Craig Richards fight, he kind of looked a little iffy there. So he needs to step it up, man. I'll tell you what's going on with Bivol. He's from that old school Eastern Europe school, amateur school, where for them it's not about looking good. It's just about winning. It's a competition. It's an athletic competition for them. It's not boxing where you can actually look impressive doing something and put a hurting on the other guy. He doesn't really seem to care about that, and that hurts him.
Well, he still has that Russian coach, bro. I mean to cut you off, but I think that has a lot to do with it. He never went to an American coach. And just to let you guys know, I said the wrong name earlier. It was Joe Smith. Just how you said, he was impressive. Led up to the Joe Smith fight. And then I think Joe Smith caught him in the 10th or the 11th, really shook him. And I think it did the Keith Thurman effect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Remember after Thurman was rocked, he stopped becoming one time because he never wanted to bite down and put his weight out over that front foot for too long. He'd do it, but then jump right out. There'd be no combinations with your weight over your front foot. And I think Bivol's done the same thing. I think he got rocked, and I think it made him question himself, made him question his jaw.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think so. Listen, he's got all the ability in the world. He needs to step it up. I think we're all saying pass with this one. And shout out to Chris K for his contribution with the super chat. He says Dmitry Bivol. Unfortunately, that's the case, man.
That's good. That's real good.
I think he's still exciting because of his fighting style. I do agree. He needs to like knock these dudes out or stop them. Just like. But he is pretty exciting because of his skill set. But yeah, like he's hitting that territory where the knockouts are just not coming anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like especially against guys that are like, dude, you're beating them 12-0, like in most of these fights. Just might as well just step up. If you could beat them like that, step it up a little bit, maybe get the knockout,
Yeah.
But I tell you what, lost 4 rounds, right? And 4 rounds in the last 38 rounds. He's lost 4 of them.
I tell you what, man. I tell you what. If he continues boring me in the next year, I might just give him a fail just for the principle. If he just keeps on doing this shit, it might be a fail, man, because it's about the performances as well. So, for the moment...
Right. You're 100% right.
Of course I am. But for the moment, it's a pass. All right? But he's on academic probation.
On thin ice.
He's on thin ice, yeah. All right, so who else do we got here? We're at in the light heavyweight division. We just went through Bivol. Let's go. Well, of course, the only other guy that there's a fight some of us are interested in is Beterbiev versus Bivol. Artur Beterbiev, 17-0, 17 knockouts. He ended up beating a guy over in Europe, stopped him. It was in Russia, I believe. Then he takes on Marcus Brown, ends up stopping him. That fight had a little bit of everything, knockdowns, a little bit of pressure in there, blood, plenty of blood, something Larry Merchant would have appreciated. Guys, what do you think about Artur Beterbiev?
Yeah, he gets on the roll. On the roll for me.
Really? Why?
Well, because not just because of the Vosdick fight, because he's hitting that like rare position, like the Edwin Valeros of the world. Never mind the Berlangas, where the guy's gonna get the knockout. It's just a matter of when. And as soon as he starts fighting, like getting into the 20s, he's gonna be hitting that benchmark where he could be considered one of the hardest punchers ever. So, I mean, yeah, he's a unified champion. Is he unified? I believe he is. He's got 2 belts, and he's got all KOs. So that's impressive, man. That's impressive.
Yes, but Gonzalo, the Gvozdyk fight was in 2019, I believe.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say, if that undefeated 100% KO ratio was put to test at some point in his career, like a Berlanga, where you're saying that all he's facing, not you, but people are saying that all he's facing is like scrubs. Well, he definitely proved that it's not just that he's facing scrubs. It's because the power is legitimate. Because he hit that fight, he got the knockout against Bosdick, and now he's continuing on that tear still. So, you could say, okay, I'm going to put a tough opponent against him. I just think that he's still going to knock whoever you put in front of him out. So for me, the power is legitimate. It's a little bit of the eye test, but he's got the belts. He's got the belts. It's like the opposite of Bivol. If Bivol ain't knocking nobody out, this guy is. Right? And the power is legitimate.
That's a good point.
Put him up that way when Canelo fights him, it makes Canelo look better, you bastard. No, I'm just kidding. No, I give him a high pass. I don't give him an honor roll, only because Marcus Brown, who, listen, let's call it what it is. How many guys has he opened up like that in a row? Like, opened up. It was Badu Jack, same fucking thing. Remember the gash of that motherfucker's head?
Right, yeah.
I think that's the 3rd fighter in a row he's opened up like a fucking meat cleaver. How many times has that happened before you say, who? You know what I mean? I think that's the 3rd championship fight in a row, like huge gashes.
Did he do that to Pascal, too? Didn't he fucking, give Pascal a huge gash as well?
I think he gave it to himself, though. I think he gave it to himself. It backfired.
Right. No, so it backfired on him.
Yeah, it backfired.
Yeah, like the dude is, he's
leading with his head.
I'll give him a high pass. I'm going to give him a high pass because he's a champion. He's fighting these fights. I forgot the guy's name in Europe. I thought he did an excellent display of skills and power. I forgot the guy's name, Denis something. I forgot. Damn, I just forget the guy's name.
It was in Russia, right?
Yeah, I believe it was in Russia. Or Germany.
Yeah, it was in Russia.
Yeah.
It was Russia. Yeah.
Russia. Okay, so he fought this dude and he beat him there. I thought he I thought that was his best performance of the year in terms of like just a guy, just showing multiple dimensions in his skills and then knocking the guy out. And then obviously the Marcus Brown, he's a tough dude. Marcus Brown's a tough, dirty fighter. And so, he handled him pretty good after getting cut from a headbutt. So I think oh, and by the way, he fucked himself up too. Remember, Marcus Brown ended up cutting his own eye from that. So, high pass.
All right.
High pass because he fought two contenders and he stopped them. He went in there and he stopped those guys. So, high pass.
Yeah. You know what? Sorry, I just want to say something, Biddy, in regards to what Jamie said jokingly, or it might be serious, but it's not a given that Canelo beats him either. I just want to say that.
Yeah, man. I agree, man.
Dude, I was totally joking.
I will go a step further. If they fight, Canelo's gonna have to prove to me that he can win that fight. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to Beterbiev just by what I see. Now that can change in a fight, but.
And I agree. Listen, no bullshit. I'm not a Canelo nut hugger. I appreciate him. You know what I mean? I wanted G to win both those fights, to put it in perspective. But if he beats Beterbiev, that puts him in a whole new level of greatness. And I don't give a fuck how much you hate the kid or whatever you say. That's insane if he does. If he goes up and beats him. And I was totally joking. You were giving him that grade for that purpose, brother. You know that, but
because it's very possible, Jimmy. It's true. It's very possible Canelo can beat him, but at the same time, no, it's not. It's like weird. It's 50-50.
Yeah, if Beterbiev catches him coming in, he'd be trying to catch him coming in the same. Canelo would have to punch between Beterbiev's punches. You know what I mean? Not after the jab, but like in between. We're constantly trying to punch him off balance, which is wicked hard. That's what you do when you're fighting a monster. Because side by side, you look at these guys, the muscle mass, the strength. I mean, he got rocked. He took it well in the 10th round, second fight against Triple G. But Beterbiev is a different animal. Up close, when he hooks those body shots, when he throws those short-inch, 6-inch punches, bro. If you're within 30 yards of that fucking punch, in the arena, you're hearing it like thwack. I don't give a fuck where on the body he's hitting you. You're gonna feel it. And so for Canelo to do that, if he does do it, that's insane.
Let's say he doesn't look that impressive because he didn't look overly impressive against Caleb Plant, like in the sense that he was laboring a little to get the victory, but ultimately, he got it done, and it was kind of impressive in the end of the day. But let's say he's doing that against a power puncher to where it's not so easy to get in there and do what he needs to do. Then the other guy's putting a beating on you. That's really going to deplete Canelo. So we don't know what can happen, I think.
Beterbiev has good skills, man. He's got good skills, and it's not just the power. People keep harping on the power, but he's got basic skills. He's not doing anything fancy, like moving the head all the time, rolling with, using the shoulder roll. It's just good parrying, stepping back when he needs to, and stepping right back in and just putting pressure on guys. I don't think Canelo beats him. And if he does beat him,
fundamentally sound.
Right. So, I mean, and listen, if he doesn't fight Canelo, there's potential for him to have an honor roll next year because you got Bivol, you got Gilberto Ramirez still in there. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of opponents he could face to get himself an honor roll. And he's 36, so if it's going to happen, if his career is going to get cemented with any type of long-term accomplishments, it's got to happen this year, man. Against Callum Smith.
Brother? I thought he was 39. I'm sorry. I thought he was 39. I was wrong. Oh, that's good. He's only 36.
I just flipped the 9 backwards and put it back to 6.
No, that's really good. No, because I really thought he was 39. I don't know. I've been thinking that, so that's good. That gives us a few more years of him.
That's right.
No, I go back. Yeah, you're right. No, he's been very inactive, so he needs to fight more because he is 36. So yeah, like a pass, not an honorable.
Well, promotional problems. Yves Von Shea, whatever, up in Montreal, fucked him around.
Yeah,
so
man.
He had to get out of that contract.
Yeah, especially look, if you start getting into the 20s where you're still knocking everybody out, 100% KO ratio like Edwin Valero, man, dude, and you get another name on your resume, dude, the power's real. He's gonna be talked about for a long time.
Yeah. And I guess injuries. Oh, I was going to say there's been injuries too with Beterbiev, quite a few, which isn't surprising with his body type, that muscle mass, and the way he probably trains. He's probably got all kinds of ligament problems, shoulders, elbows, and he's probably easy to hurt. I mean, he hurts himself easily because of that. So that's one of the reasons he's been inactive.
I would fight 2-3 times next year. That way, I'm already have like 20 fights, and that way, my name's out there. 20 fights. How much did Valero have? I know I keep talking about that, but that's kind of important, man.
I think about like 20 fights. Maybe? I think it was under 20, or maybe just bordering on 20. It wasn't that. He didn't have that many. All right, you guys are gonna love this one. The third, or somebody actually, some might argue the star of boxing at the moment. Worst case scenario, top 3. Jake Paul. Guys, man, this guy, I mean, he just knocks people out, man. Let me tell you. And he's
I don't rate fighters that have no knockout clause against them.
Oh. How are you gonna do that again? How are you gonna say that against Jake Paul, man? Come on now.
Well, I mean, look, I don't know if that's true, but that's what I heard, right? I heard that he has like a no knockout. If that's true, then it means, that's the definition of a fixed fight.
Well, I was going to say Mario Lopez, I guess, knows him. Unless I heard it wrong on listening to the show, or knows people who know him. I guess he took the first loss real bad. Obviously, he caught a lot of shit from the MMA people, like a lot. And he was like, and then so to go back, maybe he had to get the dude's name tattooed on him and everything. So it was pretty bad. And now he became like one of the biggest memes of the year. They put that thing was on. It went viral so many times, different memes of him. I just think even if he was to, like some people say, fixed or not to knock him out, I can't see him allowing him to get like, you know what I mean? Like to get knocked out like that. I think he did want to go in there, and I think he just like he did in MMA. He didn't throw enough punches. Because I ended up watching the fight after. Of course, I didn't pay for it, but
the thing with Jake Paul,
that's the reason why.
The thing with Jake Paul is I don't have a problem with him fighting. I mean, I don't know, for some people, like unless somebody can come up with an argument, I haven't changed my mind. If he wants to do gimmick fights, that's all they are. They're gimmick fights. The worst case scenario, he's bringing more fans to the sport, and that means more asshole fans to the sport. You know, people that don't really know what they're talking about. But
are they really fans of the sport or just fans of him?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Is let's say for every 10 fans of his he brings, 3 stick to boxing, right? At least one of those 3 fans is going to be an asshole. That's just the way it works in boxing or any other sport. So that's the worst thing, that if he brings fans that are just going to spoil the rest of the fun here for all of us when we're discussing boxing. That's the worst thing. Other than that, people are thinking that he's going to destroy boxing or that he's watering it down. They're not real fights. They're gimmick fights. He's a guy that's trying his best, trying to train as a professional fighter. And he's fighting a bunch of has-beens, never-weres, and a bunch of MMA fighters. So it's not the worst thing in the world. So that was just a gimmick.
Yeah. Also, BDA, the thing that I noticed, I haven't been paying attention to the weigh-ins when he makes weight because he's bigger than his opponents. Uh-huh. It's like if I hit a guy that's smaller than me with a clean shot, I'm most likely going to knock him out, and impressively. But if I hit somebody my own size or bigger, maybe not, you know?
Exactly.
When you're much bigger than an opponent, dude, things look different.
Exactly.
He walks around. I believe it was 35 to 40 pounds heavier than that kid walks around at. That's a big weight difference.
Put him in there against Anderson Silva. Enough joking around. Don't put him in there with Tommy Fury. Don't put him in there with another guy that. At least Silva outboxed a former champ in Chavez Jr. So put him in there against Silva. Then we'll see what happens. But again, I'm not all that interested in whether he does or not, because it's at the end of the day, what difference does it make? Shout out.
Wait a minute, Silva beat Chavez Jr.
Yes, indeed, Anderson Silva, and he made it look bad.
I completely don't pay attention to Chavez. I didn't know that. What a slug! His father must be so humiliated.
I think his father wants to go biblical and just take him out, if you know what I mean.
Oh my God! Bet you wish his fucking abortions were retroactive.
Oh, come on now. By the way, shout out to It Was All a Dream. He deserves 2 accolades here. Number 1, thank you for your contribution contribution with the super chat. He says more second round.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine.
Big boy.
So he says it was all a dream. More Second Renaissance videos, please. It was all a dream. We're working on that. Me and John Gonzalez, we got a couple of things planned for you fellas. Might be tomorrow.
Boy. John Gonzalez is always a deadly stream.
Oh, yeah.
He's a twisted bastard. It could always be good.
Well, we'll see, man. I mean, it all depends. And by the way, shout out to It Was All a Dream again. He just joined the membership program. So shout out to It Was All a Dream. Really appreciate it. Welcome to the BDA membership program. Enjoy the badges. Enjoy the emojis. And shout out to Texas Bulldog for his contribution to the Super Chat. Says, even an aged Silva with Forrest Griffin, Jake Paul. I wouldn't be surprised, man, because Jake Paul's stamina stinks. The guy throws 3 shots and has to take a deep breath and clinch. He cannot sustain an attack. So if Silva tires him out, pushes the pressure on him, stands in front of him, makes him miss, I think he could take Jake Paul out. And Silva is a big dude. He used to fight at 200. No, actually, he used to fight at 180, 185. So yeah,
and these fights aren't drug tested either. You know he's saucing out of his fucking tits.
How are you gonna say that about Jake Paul? You're trying to sully Jake Paul's reputation and accuse him.
Why would he train in Puerto Rico where you can get
he had a reputation
so well? You know what I mean? That's where you can get steroids. You don't have the government bothering you like you do up here. It would just be the access. It's cleaner. It's less counterfeited.
He's living in Puerto Rico for many reasons. I know why. A lot of that. I think,
really?
Steroids, but
talking about the pussy.
There's taxes and shit. I don't want to talk about that on here, but yeah, I know what he's doing.
You're talking about the pussy too? Some of that Puerto Rican
Well,
pussy?
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure with his kind of money, he can get these little stupid Puerto Rican gold digging bitches. Yeah.
Dude, he's got stupid money from fucking being a zip head on YouTube. Isn't that crazy? That's a whole nother thing.
More power to him, I say. More power to him.
No doubt.
And he's trying to rock. That's why I asked Steve Kim, is he really trying to rock the system? And Steve Kim disagrees. He doesn't think he is. But I hope he is. I hope he's trying to rock the system a little bit, rock the boat, buck the system, and really do try to change a couple of things here, because boxing does need somebody to call out, somebody at his level of fame to call out some of the fuckery that's been going on in boxing for a while. So hopefully he does that. If he doesn't, well, it is what it is. He's not a crusader.
He's saying he wants to. He's gonna buy fucking TMT promotions to save it from always being just a one fight. So he's saying things like that. He's tweeting out. He's got his back is sore from carrying the sport.
Hey, he told Mayweather all that. Let's raise enough. Let's raise enough money to get Floyd a better hair transplant.
No, I'm telling you, say what you want about the guy. He's a professional entertainer. He's doing what he's got to do.
See, this is when Floyd needs to step up his game, and this is what I mean. Like, okay, forget boxing, bro. You're getting to that age where the youngsters are disrespecting you now. That's they're bringing up shit about your hair. As an older man, as you start getting older, maybe you don't belong in the game anymore. Because these young witty dudes could do this all day long. They could troll all day. They can outsmart you. I'm just saying, maybe it's time for him to be a promoter.
He called him a weasel too. Just the other day, come out on Instagram, called him a weasel because Floyd still hasn't paid him the $3 million he still owes him, or 1.7 he still owes him.
Okay, so now you're talking about Logan
on
Paul.
Instagram, he was saying he got $20 million off the fight, and that Floyd got 100. And we all know the numbers didn't do that well. So
I know. I guess I think he let it slip. He only made $5 million, but Floyd there was still a balance left on it, and it's got bad enough where he's like publicly shaming the dude about it. So it's obviously not just like, hey Floyd, use my money. Obviously this has become a thing. So it's just, I don't know. I mean, if Floyd's the money man, he's supposedly buying $18 million watches, like he said on his Instagram page, but you can't pay the kid his 1.7. I don't know. It's always a bunch of fucking funny shit going on, huh?
That's gotta irk Mayweather, because one thing we do know about Mayweather, he's all about appearances. To him, it's all about his worth relies on his financial worth. So if somebody calls it into question and it happens to be true, you better believe this guy is gonna be seething.
He's selling fucking gel guns. You see his new ad? He's selling fucking Floyd Mayweather
dude,
gel guns.
He's a terrible salesman, man.
The only thing he can sell is himself, and that well's drying up. And let's run for a second. Let's pretend the fact that he did get $100 million off of that fight. Then that means that the people that did business with him lost their butts on that fight. And people aren't going to, much to the dismay and non-belief of the realism in real life that his fans have this delusion that he can do anything he wants and people flock to him and throw him money. The world doesn't work like that. And so he's going to come up with a scam like he's been doing. What he did in the ring is one thing, but what he's doing now, it's going to backfire to the point to where the well's going to dry up. He's not an endorser. He's not endorsed by anything that pays him, although he claimed he made $34 million in endorsements. But these wells are going to dry up, and then what's he going to be left with? He could say he's doing generational money all you want to. That's fine, but when you're buying $18 million watches, we're $75 million in debt to the IRS before you fought Manny Pacquiao.
He's got another fight coming up, Chief, too, against like some fucking YouTuber, too. He's got like another fight.
Let me tell you something about Mayweather. Man. I don't care.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if he ends up sleeping in a trash can for the rest of his life, that's his choice. What I want for him to do is to stop stalling Tank Davis's career. That's what I'm more interested in. Until then, his financial escapades or lack thereof are of no consequence to me.
You could say Canelo. You could say that Tank is damaged good in terms of development.
Of course,
I mean,
yes.
There's
no steel sharpening steel, brother, and he's fighting fucking Plato.
Let me tell you something. Going from his last fight, do you trust him going up in there against guys like Lomachenko, Kambosos, Teofimo, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney? I don't trust him.
He told you. He told you that moving forward, the style of fighting that he's gonna have Tank fighters where he doesn't take punishment. Sometimes you gotta get in there. And especially if you're the shorter fighter that got heavy hands, you got to get in there and work like that against bigger guys to be successful, to have success. Because if you're on the back foot, stepping away from your power and you got short limbs, how are you going to be successful against taller fighters? It's not going to work for you.
And Gonzalo, dude, think about it. You know about this, man. You saw him fight against that kid Cruz. Listen, that kid Cruz had one speed, one coming forward. Wasn't changing up anything. At any time did he look comfortable going back? Did he look like together? You know what I'm saying? Like he's not. Yeah, he's got no game going backwards. How do you think he would deal? I didn't need to see him fight Cruz. Like if they would have announced it 6 months ago, that he's going to fight Lomachenko, I would have put big money on Lomachenko to beat him. I just don't think he'll be able to deal with the angles and all that other shit. Yes, he's got crazy power, and I was big on him. But yeah, dude, fucking Lomachenko would give him a schooling.
Yeah. Floyd did put the work in.
I would take Loma to no Masin, bro. That's what I would take. I'll take Loma to make him just quit in this corner.
Yeah,
I'm going by
what the corner would call it. He'd get back to his corner and they would say, "Don't say a word. We're doing all the talking." Yeah, and they get back and they would make and they would fake an injury probably, and to make it sound like it wasn't Loma's punches that did it. And you're completely because they wouldn't want to give Loma the credit.
No, of course not. Sort of like what happened with Rigondeaux, right? Rigondeaux kind of probably had this backed up excuse, like, if this fight gets rough, I'm checking out. And I'm just going to say my hand broke or some shit.
Hey, recognize, speaking of Rigondeaux, the Ring has done, I found their top 5 division by division of all time, the updated version. And Rigondeaux's in the top 5 at 122.
Oh, 122. Definitely you got Gomez, right?
Gomez, Barrera, Morales.
Yeah, I agree with that. Who's
then he's number 4, and Zaragoza's number 5.
I don't know.
Wasn't there a guy named Alfredo Vasquez who had 9 title defenses all on the road? One of them against Orlando Canizales, a Hall of Famer.
I mean, I think those guys are better than Rigondeaux. I'm being honest with you. I think all those guys you just mentioned are better than him.
Yeah, I don't think he's
better. Maybe he's better than Lidwaba. I would say he's better than Lidwaba, right? Maybe I'll give him that over.
Yeah, but that's like the second tier fighters.
That's what I'm saying. Like I would say, like, okay, maybe I don't think he's a top 5 super bantamweight.
You could make the argument of 10. somewhere in the lower part of the top 10. You could, because it's a junior division that hasn't been around forever. I mean, it's been around for over 30 years now that we're older.
I would have to go through all the names and remember again, but like I agree with you. I think, at top 5, I think you're pushing it, putting Rigondeaux in the top 5.
Well, just the sheer fact that Wilfredo Vasquez, I'll say it here as much as I can to people here. The fact that this man's not in the Hall of Fame and he keeps getting crapped on by the world of boxing over and over again. He's won titles in 3 divisions, 9 title defenses, all on the road, none of them in Puerto Rico. And
I'll give you a perfect example, Chief. I don't care about these Hall of Fame status things, like the official Hall of Fame status. We know what we saw. It's like with baseball, right? They don't have Barry Bonds, A-Rod, Roger Clemens. They don't have a lot of guys. Those guys are better than 99.9% of the people in recent time that they put in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And they saved baseball.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These guys are better. They saved it. Barry Bonds is arguably the greatest baseball player that ever played a game. Okay? Like, I don't need him to be in the Hall of Fame to say, yeah, that's the GOAT right there. That's one of the GOATs. Right.
When the sport was dying too, brother, numbers were dying, and all of a sudden they just turn a blind eye to the steroid. Yeah. These guys got huge, but they were banging home runs, and fans went nuts. The ratings went through the roof. Literally saved the sport. They got a bunch of big TV deals because of it, and then when they were done, they cut them loose.
Yeah.
Well, look at it like this. They did well in positions outside of batting.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Vasquez, Chief was breaking down his Hall of Fame career, what he believes to be, and I think most people would. I mean, the guy had 9 title defense, all on the road. All.
Well, listen,
then won a title in another division after that at the age of 37.
Yeah. I mean, he's a badass.
Well, listen, we've got people that are trying to do big things in boxing. Again, outside circumstances prevent some of them from doing so. It's not their fault, but it still affects their rating here when we're doing this, rating their performances for the year. So we're almost done here. We're at the premium division here, the marquee division, the heavyweights. Start off with
the home stretch.
Tyson
the home stretch,
Fury.
Baby.
There's only one Tyson Fury, and he only fought once as well this year against Deontay Wilder. He fought Deontay Wilder, stopped him in a fairly entertaining fight. Most people would have rather have seen him fight Anthony Joshua. That fell through. Fellas, what do we think about Tyson Fury? Pass, honor roll, fail?
High pass.
High pass.
Pass.
Yeah.
Because I'll give him a pass. I'll give him a pass only because a regular pass. He already had beat Wilder. Wilder, don't get me wrong. You guys know, I enjoy that ass whipping. Not because I hate Wilder. I don't like his fans. Okay, I don't like his fans. But Wilder almost knocked him out. Let's be honest. Okay, he hit him a little bit more hard. It's always inches, man. It's always inches. It's a game of inches, bro. He's inches better than Wilder. If Wilder could have just landed a little bit more harder, maybe if he wasn't as hurt, who knows what happens with that punch. But he beat the crap out of him. I think he beat him up worse, even though the fight was more entertaining, a little bit more competitive, I would say. No, it was less competitive, excuse me, but there was a lot of high drama, right? He threw a beating on him, but he still almost, it was one fight, he still almost got knocked out, in my opinion. He was hurt multiple times in that fight by a guy that was hurt, clearly hurt, just desperation punches. I'm just going to give him a pass. I mean, which is nothing wrong with that. He had one fight and he won, and he beat a guy he already beat.
I gave him the high pass because I gave him a pass for what he did in the ring. I mean, outside of the 2 times he was dropped, I thought he pretty much dominated. It wasn't like it was close, right? It was just outside those 2 shots. He walked into the second one. So my thing, I gave him a high pass for the second part because of all those, and it's not all Wilder fans, because I know not all Wilder fans believed in that glove gate, but that hardcore group that made me not even want to go on Twitter. Like literally, I just stopped because it became so vile and ugly and the shit they were saying. And It really was. It was a stain on boxing, and he'll be remembered for that. Mark my words. I don't give a fuck. He's got fans listening. He'll be remembered for that. Years to come, they won't think about all those knockouts against, let's be honest, nobodies. It's going to be remembered for how he acted and what he did to the sport. That just was not a good look,
Jimmy,
all around.
I disagree.
Yes.
I loved that vileness. I loved the fact that he got to that point. I'm a fungus. I thrive amongst the shit of the dark.
That is true. You are fungus.
I like it, but I understand what you're saying, Jimmy. If somebody that's more prim and proper like yourself, I understand why you would look down upon that. But I just thought it was fun. I thought it was fun, man. The whole drama, the whole the allegations. It was a good show.
One more thing? Can I say one more thing? I have to say this. Maybe I'm soft a little bit because I'm getting older. The 2 beatings he took from back-to-back fights. Listen, I'm being honest, I'm not trying to be funny. I found myself saying, yo, stop the fucking fight. This dude is done. The third fight, when he got knocked out, I was more relieved. I was like, thank God, man, get this dude out of here. He's like a dead man. He's just a dead man walking. You know, like somebody just needs to end it. Like, and then like it was such a beating, especially the last fight, that it started to become cringe, bro. It was a little cringy.
I agree,
That's how
man.
bad he whipped his ass.
I agree.
You know how much was on the line because he knew what he put on the line. You can't make everything. He discounted the beating he took in the second round, the second fight, which what it was. It was just a mauling, and he couldn't emotionally deal with it. So he put out all that fucking bullshit. And you know what? And so he knew that, so he probably did hang in there a little too long, and it was a one-sided beatdown. But yeah, that was my point to that, dude. I don't think I don't give him. I just give him a regular because I thought Fury looked worse in the third fight than he did in the second.
Yeah, Wilder's problem was that he believed in his power. Real quick, Wilder's problem was that he believed in his power. If he wouldn't have dropped him, we'll never know. But the fact that he dropped him probably propelled him to continue on getting that beating. So it kind of worked against him too.
Yeah, maybe. To put things in perspective, to recognize this point of he almost knocked him out. All history is going to show in several years as he knocked him down twice. Ray Robinson said himself that Rocky Graziano almost knocked him out if it would have hit him on the chin instead of the temple or behind the ear. But
the third round, right? The third round.
All anyone's going to see, though, is the fact that there was a knockdown and then he got knocked out. The almost knocked me out is all going to be dependent if you go looking for interviews between the two guys. He was floored twice, and you're absolutely right. I don't know how close he was to stopping him. You're saying it's a game of inches. You're right, but all we see is the fact the guy got up twice, and then he, like Jimmy said, continued the beating.
Yeah, no, he got up because he's better. He's just a better fighter, and he knew exactly what to do. You know, in that moment, he understood. I'm a much better boxer than you are. So those knockdowns, if you didn't finish me, then I'm still gonna get up and pretty much just outbox you and then start dominating you.
Exactly.
But the reason, in terms of passing, right? So like we're doing this whole pass, this grade. Like he passed because he did what he was supposed to do. He beat a guy that he already beat. He's already fought 2 times going into the third fight.
Right.
But he did have a little difficulties, right? There was some drama outside of and I agree with. I almost 100% agree with Jimmy. Outside of that, I thought he lost the first round. But even in that first round, I'm talking about Fury. I thought Fury lost the first round. But even in that first round, he clips him in the end, and that was the beginning of the end for Wilder. Wilder was like lumbering in the second round. Third round, we know what happened. Fourth round, he was basically almost stopped until he lands that overhand right, kind of gave him some time. And from that point on, it was just total domination.
So, right. Some other 2 quick points, if I can add them in real quick. Him being known, Wilder being known for all the excuses and everything else, writers write the history. Pernell Whitaker was always going to be recognized as a great fighter and a Hall of Famer, but it wasn't until Max came on and started singing his praise on ESPN all the time that people started throwing him in the top 5 lightweights of all times and stuff like that. So the writers are what are going to determine that on what he's going to be known for later in life, and we can't predict that. Now, you may be right, Jimmy. He may be known for those excuses and everything and crying and everything down the road. But if anyone remembers that, keeps bringing that up, that's how it's going to be covered or not. And then lastly, of course, yes, it's a regular pass, but he did what he was supposed to do. And I've said this a couple times on this show and throughout this show. A guy that didn't deserve to be in the ring with him, and he beat him up and took him out.
Yeah, man, that's a great way of putting it. Absolutely, couldn't have said it better, man. Gonzalo, what do you think, man? With Tyson Fury at the end of the day, pass, honor roll, fail.
Yeah, I agree with what everybody says here. Yeah, I give him a pass. High pass is all right.
I'm going to go ahead and agree with pass. I'm not going to say high pass because he already had beaten Wilder. I wasn't terribly interested in seeing it. Then once they did decide to go on with it, I said, okay, well, the build-up's going to be interesting at least. And we get to see Fury put on another display of just leaning on this guy and just pushing him around the ring. But at the end of the day, it is a pass. He didn't do much that wowed us. So this year, it's already starting off bad for Fury. He doesn't want to fight Dillian Whyte. I think a Whyte win would look very good on his record. He's not terribly interested in it.
Weirdo, man. Such a weirdo.
He's a weirdo, yeah, man.
He's such a weirdo motherfucker, man. Just like a weird.
Well, you talk about me or you talk about Whyte?
I'm gonna add one more thing. The thing that I like more about Tyson Fury now, and I know it's been against the same opponent, he's looking more exciting. Looking more exciting than before.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's true. With the Kronk thing, he's sitting down on his right hand. Yeah, that's a great point, Gonzalo. All right, so listen, we talked about. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. Deontay Wilder.
I hope Fury gets stripped if he don't fucking fight his mandatory. That's what I hope.
Yeah, me too, man. Start putting some pressure on the guy to make the fights. Deontay Wilder, one fight, one big loss. I mean, it's gotta be. Yeah.
I'm gonna give him.
He's the meme of 2021, like that. that fucking collapse. You know, like
fail.
When you think of buildings collapsing, like that's what I think of. Like how he just falls down. You know, so it's over. He went free falling, bro.
I'm gonna give him a low pass because honestly, we all know. I'm gonna talk about myself. We all know what type of fighter he is. Extremely limited. So for what he's got, for the skills he possesses, the way he fought in the rematch, at least it made it an entertaining fight. And he came to win. You could say that he came to win because he dropped Fury twice. But in the end of the day, he was supposed to lose. So, I mean, he did all right and pretty much like a farewell, low pass. Get the fuck out of my face.
All right.
Like
being generous.
If we tried to fail Gervonta Davis, and if we did fail either one of the Charlo brothers, who actually had wins and draws, and we're going to give this guy a pass when he lost, and he's limited in skill and everything else, I don't know what we're basing our criteria on.
He failed to me.
The thing about Gervonta Davis, he's not limited in skill. He could be doing a lot better, but he's getting on the back foot.
Oh,
it's different things, like nuances.
Regardless, though, he won twice, and this guy lost. After everything he did, after all that crying, after everything he tried to make a cheating case, he got what he wanted. He got in the way of Undisputed. He was the reason why we didn't get Undisputed this year. He caused that. He got what he wanted, and then he was a lesser fighter and took a lesser than fight. He took a man-sized beating, even though he took it like a man. Bottom line, one fight, one loss, knockout loss. That there's no way that can be a pass.
Okay, fair enough. I kind of agree here.
I agree with Chief. I think he failed. For every reason he just said. The excuses, the mouth on him, everything, and then he's only had that one fight and he gets a worse beating.
Yeah, so he changed my mind. Not that I'm wishy-washy, but you know, okay, I get it.
Well, we respect each other a lot. You've changed my mind a time or two also.
Wishy-washy, isn't that the name of the fucking Korean guy on Family Guy? the cleaners. But anyways, no, I agree too. Yeah, fucking huge fail. Fuck him. All that shit talking he did, the derision and the fucking, he tried to make it racial to the point when Fury tried not to make it racial at the press conference. He literally shook his head in disgust. It was fucking, so fuck him for everything he stood for everything, all the lies, and he had his opportunity, went out there and got fucking knocked out. Fail. End of story.
I'm going to go ahead and agree with everything you guys are saying. It's a big old fail. People could point out and say, well, aren't you going to take into account the heart he showed? Sure. But he also ruined one of the biggest fights of the year, which, granted, might not have been all that fun inside. I think Fury, Joshua, they wouldn't have made for a great fight, aesthetically speaking. Nevertheless, he did. And again, some people, the other side of the coin is, some people could say, well, of course, Wilder wanted that fight. Here's what Wilder could have done. And this is coming from a fan. I got no expertise on this, but this is the way it seems like it could have gone better for him. Had he said, you know what, let me get a tune-up, 2 tune-ups, get a couple of knockouts, it would have revived his reputation, because you know how fickle boxing fans are. It's just, 2 knockout wins. And if he would have shown some of the stuff that he showed, I mean, just think about it. He was working on the mids with Malik Scott, and it got his fans all riled up, all wet in between the legs. Look at his combinations. He's throwing combinations. And imagine if he would have shown some of that against even some power opposition. He would have made a shitload of money against the winner of Fury Joshua. Whether it would have been Fury again or Joshua, it would have been a big fight. Now, instead, he decided to go straight for Fury again. He got his clock cleaned. He made a bunch of excuses, never actually tried to live up to anything he said. Even his fans, too, afterwards were saying, well, we're still going to come, what's his name? Tay Jones said, we're still going to go through with some of the legal stuff that we're talking about. It's been, 4 months, 3 months? Nothing has come out of that yet. Wilder refused to shake hands with Fury after the fight. So I would actually extend this big fail to his fans as well. Those gosh darn dumbasses. They made so many excuses about how Fury, the only reason why Wilder had lost was because of Fury's cheating. And then once Fury beats him, and this time they got no proof that he cheated, they tried to pretend as if they never accused him of cheating in the first place. All of these people involved in the Wilder saga, including his fans,
don't forget the new one, BDA. Well, I don't know how new it is, but the new one is, well, even if he didn't cheat it in the third fight, he cheated in the second fight and did so much damage that Wilder's damage was.
Yeah. No, exactly. The fact that they just let it you know what I mean? And now they're on Twitter attacking people who bring up something about Ortiz. I saw some people critique, saying exactly how that fight the other night, what it was worth, and beating Sean Smart, and people just went at him. Montero was one of them. He put out some real salient facts about Ortiz and stuff, and he was just attacked unmercifully. So they're coming out at people because they have nothing else to say. It's all the same group who just were pushing that, and everybody was they drugged him and all those terrible things. And then after that other fight, at the end, nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Exactly. That was the worst.
That's like you said, dude. That's the thing that gets me going.
It was weasel-like behavior. Yeah. Weasel-like behavior. And I don't like weasels. I like plenty of other weasels, but a weasel, I can't handle it, man.
That's right. It's correct that he lost, because if he would have won, it would have meant more than just boxing. If he would have won, let's say he got lucky and knocked Fury out, they would have made it about something else. So it was kind of righteous in the sense that he got put in his place where he belongs, because they say there's more good people in the world than there is bad. And I think good is supposed to win over bad. And that's what happened.
Come on, it was brilliant.
It would have been more than boxing.
Come on, it was brilliant. You loved it.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's absolutely true, Gonzalo. So we're getting him a fail. Big old fail. About as big a fail as he can get. And, hey, just goes to show you sometimes you open your mouth, you better be able to back it up, legally speaking.
And BBA, you said it too, with he stepped in the way, I think it was Chief said, stepped in the way of the unification at heavyweight. Regardless if it might have been a boring fight or not, who knows? Fury with that new style, he might have tried to, because he's so big, he might have tried the same type of offense, but all I know is this still would have been nice. That was the fight everybody wanted. Remember when this third fight was announced, just a groan from everybody. It was like, what the fuck? The dude lost 17 out of 19 rounds, culminated with the one-sided beatdown. And only because of lies and bullshit and a childish ego who couldn't take it, with that third shit fight was put on us. And whether it was exciting, to me it was only exciting because if Wilder would have won, think about how fucking out of control the shit would have been. So for that, I got to give him big credit for that, because he put a silence to that. but it's terrible. That's why I say personally, because I've seen things like this in the past, but never to this degree of excuses. When you're known as the worst excuse person ever in boxing, I'd be shocked if that isn't the thing that hangs in the sphere longest of him. But you may be right, but I'd be shocked if it wasn't.
Yeah, I guess there's a difference of kicking somebody when he's down, but when he deserves to be down like he is, I mean, that's only right, you know. What goes up must come down, like the saying goes. It's not that we're making a fire out of like a fallen tree.
Exactly.
But yeah, he deserved to be put in his place. Did you see one more thing? Did you see the wife also calling him a fat ass in the weigh-in? Then when he got knocked out, she was like, nah. Fucking crying.
Yeah, it got ugly, but that's why I liked it. But nevertheless, it was completely inappropriate. Shout out to Kenshiro for his contribution to the super chat. He says Wilder failed. He got expelled out of the school. Yeah, that's like that kid that we all know who smears shit in the mirror in the bathroom, and it's just he gets expelled because he's even too weird for the weird kids. And that's what happened with Wilder, man. His behavior was unacceptable, but it was fun. It was fun. So what can I say? Can't complain too much. We got a little bit of everything with him. A little bit of drama, a little bit of excitement. Now, when it comes to... Okay, so this one, I mean, Andy Ruiz. Now, the reason why we're including him in this category is because a lot of people think he has a lot of potential, right? He did beat Anthony Joshua. Well, okay, well, I'm talking about boxing fans as a whole. So when he got with the Reynosos and he started shedding the weight, all of a sudden people went, whoa, imagine him now dedicated. Imagine him now on point. So he takes on a 40-year-old Arreola who hadn't had a significant win in 3, 4, or 5 years. Goes 12 rounds, gets buckled, gets dropped. He won the fight, but it just goes to show you can lose all the weight you want, but if you're just not built for that type of style of letting your hands go, it ain't going to happen. So guys, what do you think? Fail, pass, honor roll?
I'm going to give him a fail because he's still riding off the coattails of the Joshua win, the first one. And never mind the rematch, he lost that one. But like you said, BDA, Arreola, it's not his best moment. And he's an older fighter. He got dropped. He's still riding off the coattails of that victory. I shook up the world. It's been like 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a fail, man. Failure. For sure.
Whoa. Jimmy, what do you think?
I mean, he only had one fight, right? He had that fucking Arreola fight, and then they dare put it on pay-per-view. Like, fuck you, motherfucker. Like, nobody cares about that fight. And then you hardly did anything in that fight, you know? Like, you didn't do shit. You got dropped, if anything. Fail.
Whoa. I didn't expect that one. Jimmy, what about you, man? What's your take on this?
Well, I mean, how do you go from that huge fight where you go from a fight where they built a stadium in a country for that fight, right, to fighting a Chris Arreola who I'm almost positive Heyman's deliberately trying to get CTE. It's like, what do we want to see how many shots this dude can take before he starts just slurring his words completely? Like Chris Arreola, really? And then to go out there and didn't even Chris drop him? I didn't see the fight.
Arreola dropped him, yeah.
Yeah, come on. Please. When's the last time?
40-something-year-old Arreola who was on the bench for like 3 years or some shit like that. Think about that.
Exactly. Keep going, brother.
No, that's it. Basically, that's
it. Yeah, no, because you're going in the right direction. It was terrible, man. So yeah, I agree. A fucking big fail. Just for the optics of it, coming down from such a height. I don't give a shit. Then to go in there and not spark that. I mean, come on. He's washed, isn't? That's insult to washed guys to say Arreola is washed.
Wow, I gotta tell you, I wasn't expecting it. Oh, Gonzalo. Yeah, I mean, I thought Gonzalo was gonna say something. Yeah, but I wasn't expecting it, but I gotta go with you, man. I gotta go with what you guys were saying. You're saying fail? Let's give him a fail.
Yeah, and he's looking. Sorry, BD. Jesus, man. He's looking to face fucking what is his name? King Kong Ortiz in the future, so that's not good.
Yeah, Ortiz probably knocks him out, man. Yeah, listen, man, I gotta say something really quick. If Ortiz was to just really sport his real age, 50 at least, dude, think about that. A 50-year-old still like knocking out guys like Charles Martin. I mean, he's a bum, but still pretty impressive that a 50-year-old is like stronger. And he did get dropped though, right? He got dropped, I think, once or twice. Was it two times he got dropped in that fight?
He got dropped once and then buckled, almost touched the canvas against.
So he's old, right? He's getting old.
No,
he's getting
Ortiz,
old.
Ortiz got dropped twice. Ruiz got dropped once.
Okay, so Gonzalo, he got dropped twice, right? What I'm saying is,
King Kong Ortiz did, but like BDA said, Ruiz got dropped once and buckled.
Yeah, I don't want to go too much on a tangent on him. Are we dealing with Ortiz now?
No, we're on Ruiz.
I was gonna say, you're saying like Ortiz could get the old man credit, right? Like if he came out and said, people would say, "Holy shit, everybody behind you!" Like everybody wants to see the old man. I can tell you why I personally think if that was the case, why they wouldn't, bro, is because that changes everything when it comes to like Nevada, the fucking doctors and their rules. You know what I mean? Like that might put the high blood pressure in a different category. That's gonna make the doctors so much quicker to fucking stop you from fighting. So I'm just saying that's just a complete guesstimation. But I'm saying to me that's to be the obvious reason. Because why else wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's almost Jimmy. It's almost inspirational, bro. Like I'm hitting that age. You know,
a dude older than you, brother, fucking fighting in the heavyweights. Of course it would. Everybody would get behind him.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If Ruiz faces King Kong Ortiz, Ruiz is gonna win because Ortiz is there for the taking. Martin should have won that fight, but he slept on his laurels. He kind of got a little hypnotized with the Cuban style. He fought at the pace of Ortiz, and Ortiz landed with a shot, knocked out Martin. But Martin was supposed to win that fight. He's there for the taking, so that means it's another cherry pick for Andy Ruiz.
And he got up like he was called, like the fucking maitre d' was telling him his table was ready. See, he gets up like, huh? Starts looking around.
You know what, man?
He had no idea where he was.
Ortiz, that's what he's got that going for him. He still has that Cuban power, and he's gonna make something out of it, man. That's all you need. He's got some precision left and the power, so good for him. Now we're moving on to Oleksandr Usyk. One fight, one big quality win over Anthony Joshua. What do you guys think?
Just ring the bell.
I'd give him a high pass, man, because look, he didn't knock him out. I thought, I think I said this on your show before the fight. I really felt he could knock him out. I really not only win, knock him out. I give him a high pass because he had one fight. He did what I thought he can do, so I'm not going to give him too much of a praise. And he did almost knock him out. You get what I'm saying? That last round. Like, I watched that last round. I'm hypnotized by that last round because there's a bit of a confusion happening there where I'm like, why do I keep feeling he stopped him? Why do I keep feeling that, right? And then you saw the towel being... But even if it's not a stoppage win, right? It's not a stoppage win. It was a convincing, dominant win, in my opinion, right? It was just one of those fights. It was competitive, for sure. I mean, all you got to do is look at... Usyk's face. And yes, damage matters. Absolutely. Okay. This is called boxing. It's not called beauty contest, where we're going to ignore certain fucking things of a fight. So he was in a tough fight for sure. And he's just like, I was checking out his little subtle movements in that fight, the little subtle things that only a high boxing IQ on the fly could think about. And yeah, I mean, it was to me, high pass, one fight. He did what I thought he could do, and he beat Joshua.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him an honor roll. Oh, sorry, BD.
No, I was going to somebody else. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him an honor roll. Hold on, now. Just wait. Yeah, I'm gonna give him an honor roll because he fought one time, but then you got the 3 belts in one fight. Smaller guy going up. Most of these guys, I've seen the pattern. They're only fighting once because of the COVID, like I mentioned. Maybe, and that's basically it. So you gained 3 belts with one fight, and you basically made it to the mountaintop, right? With one fight. So what is there more to gain? Maybe one more belt by facing Fury. So you're pretty much where you need to be. You got this feeling of like, I accomplished my dreams. I'm Oleksandr Usyk. I did it, So basically, it doesn't matter if you fought once or twice. The caliber opponent that you fought and the way you won pretty much says you made it. So I'm just gonna say give him honor roll. He did what most of everybody ever will never accomplish in their life. Well, I'm talking about boxers.
Yeah.
Cruiserweight went up to heavyweight and got 3 belts.
Yep, in one fight. So,
Jimmy?
Yeah, I didn't think he would be able to stop him. I don't think I predict. Yeah, no, I know I definitely predict. But recognize, though, it was just really not too many people were picking him, like, where it's high on Usyk. Like, remember the callers, bro, would call in? Remember the people? I mean, most people thought Anthony was going to wash him. Right? Annihilation and shit. Yeah. So, for that reason, because, you know, I mean, fuck it, I'm going to give him the honor roll. I just want to throw it to him for just going up to cruiserweight. So, because it's so historical.
That was a pretty honor roll performance. But look, I got to keep it real. I thought he.
No, I understand. You no, dude. You got your standards, dude.
I thought he was going to win. I thought he was going to win that fight, and I thought he was going to do it pretty convincingly. And he did. You know, he didn't stop him like I thought he would, but he almost did. You know, like that last round, he almost did.
Did we give Josh Taylor an honor roll this year for the Ramirez fight? Anybody remember? I'd have to go back and check.
Yes, we did. We did.
I might have not been on. I think didn't I hop on? I mean, for me, I would say he had multiple fights this year, right?
Usyk? No, he only had one.
No, I'm talking about.
Taylor. No, he had one, I believe.
Oh, he had one. See, I get confused. Remember, I thought Canelo fought Callum Smith last year too.
Right.
You know, I thought he fought all 3 of them, but I don't know why. But yeah,
I wrote about this top. Oh, sorry, dude. You guys are breaking up. I didn't mean to talk over you. Recognize.
I mean, he went undisputed. Like, he gets an honor roll, bro. Yeah. You know, maybe. I don't know. Maybe people in the audience are gonna think that I'm fucking contradicting myself. I mean, Usyk did beat Joshua where he was. Look, I'm sticking to my guns, man. Taylor, high pass. He didn't knock him out, but he clearly won the fight.
Well, it's interesting, man, because Usyk is the heavyweight division is another dimension when it comes to boxing. You can be the best light heavyweight, you can be the best cruiserweight, but it depends too on your dimensions, physical dimensions. Like Roy Jones was 5 feet 11 inches tall, I believe. So for him to have fought a guy like Lennox Lewis at the time,
and he's really 5'11" because I saw him. I was next to him,
and that's recognize he's the master at sizing people up.
Yeah, that's right. I can size you up quickly,
just by instinct. Every time he meets somebody, he's sizing them up.
I'm like the real Jason Bourne, right? I'm like the real Jason Bourne. He looks at me. I don't know how I know this, but I know it.
It's through training. But okay, let me just say this, man. Let me just say this.
He's remembering everybody's license plates.
Exactly, yeah.
I could do that. I'm telling you, man.
Let me just say this, man. So Roy Jones, 5'11", he wasn't ever gonna really beat any other. If he fought anybody of quality that was above 6 feet 3 inches tall, it was gonna be very difficult. Usyk is 6 feet 3 inches tall. He'd already beaten tall heavyweights, even though he wasn't really in the professional ranks, but he was sort of professional, but more professional than the amateurs with the WBS.
That's right. I mean, more professional than the amateurs, like you said.
Right. And it was just 2 fights in the heavyweight division. With just 2 fights, he beats a guy that's 6 feet 6 inches tall, 240 something pounds, or 238, let's say. He fought a big dude. So just that one win by having already jumped a division into the deep waters of the heavyweight division, I wouldn't argue with an honor roll. If none of you had said honor roll, I would have said high pass. But since you guys said honor roll, I'm going to have to say and agree with that. It's something that's not going to be done.
I don't blame people, man. I'm being honest. I don't blame giving them an honor roll.
And I'll tell you, man, he didn't go into that fight even for a second questioning himself.
Mm-hmm.
That dude just breamed, right? He breamed confidence. You saw it in how relaxed he was. He's dancing at fucking camp. He was dialed in, right? And you could see it in Joshua's eyes. I think even when they were announcing the fighters, he was just questioning things. It was all about how he was going to deal with Usyk, and he dealt with them completely wrong. The only thing you can do, you needed to press his advantage, his size, and he didn't. Mm-hmm. And fell into Usyk's, fell right into his game plan.
Yeah, man, and again, he's the ultimate competitor, man. He like if you tell him, hey, there's this guy that
it's very mental with these type of fighters, these dudes like him and Lomachenko. I do believe Lomachenko is going to get that win that people are going to be like, holy shit, that benchmark. I think that's going to happen for him. Yeah,
he's got a master's.
Yeah, he already has. What I'm saying is like coming off a loss, write him off type of thing. They're trying to write him off, but to me, he's just as good as Usyk. I've heard, I've kind of argued with people about this. I'm like, dude, they come from like the same camp, bro. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? These dudes are very similar in a lot of ways. So Usyk has gotten that prestige win, right? Going up to heavyweight and winning. And Lomachenko, who's really a featherweight, he's already, to me, proven he's gotten that benchmark by going up to 135. But he needs that one more. Like, if he gets the Kambosos fight, and I think he beats him. I think he clearly beats him. And we'll be talking about... But my point is, when you talk about Usyk, you will be talking about one of the best talents to ever come in boxing. Whether that translates to one of the greatest fighters to ever come, that would be determined. But these dudes are two of the best talent in boxing, pound for pound skills.
Recognize it. I just saw a picture the other day, and it was, to your point, Lomachenko and him together, and they look like they were teenagers, man. Like they've been, going through all the nationals or whatnot. But yeah, he has a master's degree. I know some people say, what does that have to do with fighting? Nothing. But sometimes an intelligent dude, I'm telling you, can compartmentalize things, you know what I mean? And figure out, just stay more focused than a wild knucklehead who's borderline like sloppy in the head. It is what it is.
That's right. That's right, bro. Yeah, so these guys are just great talents, man. They're just some of the best boxing I've seen in a long time. Very long, probably the best ever. But again, people are going to take that and say, "Oh, you're talking about they're the great." No, you don't know boxing, so I don't bother talking to people like that. Like Mayweather, like Floyd. I mean, like Mike Tyson told that freaking idiot on one of these ESPN shows. He said, "You asked me the greatest performance," and he said, Pacquiao, what he did to Brandon Real. He was like, "Oh, but there's a guy named Floyd," and he said, that goes to show you don't know nothing about boxing. I'm not saying who can win. I'm saying the best performances. And just to piggyback off of what Mike Tyson said, I understood right away. The things these guys can do, you know what I'm saying, is remarkable. Whether they'll keep winning these dominant wins the way they get against very good opposition. We'll find. But they're taking that risk because they're that good, is what I'm trying to say.
And it's also like you understand the significance of a country as small as Ukraine, two guys this talented at the same time, right? That's just all like crazy. Yeah. And I know, again, they're always the ultimate road warriors, especially they have an Olympic stadium in the capital of the Ukraine, which holds I think 35,000 people. It's an dome, with this closed. It's pretty crazy. It's modern. So you would think at some point either one of them might want to have a show there. I probably think it's because of the political unstableness of the country.
Yeah, just guessing. Sure. Yeah, that's probably what's happening. But either way, whatever it is, man, I enjoy the show. Let's just put it that way. I enjoy that show. And people can say what they want. I'm not from the Ukraine. I'm not from Eastern Europe. As far as I know, I have no ties to Eastern Europe. You know what I'm saying? I recognize talent. That's it.
Dude, culturally, you and I are like twins compared to what I am to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know what I mean? So exactly. So it's I don't relate to just because there's some white guy. I mean, their clothes are weird. Their fucking music. Everything's weird.
We would feel like weirdos over there. We're like, what the fuck?
Oh, of course, dude. Yeah. Stick out like sore thumbs.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's nothing like that. So when people pull that shit, it's crazy.
The only thing I'll probably be interested in is their workout techniques, like what we know them for, boxing. That's the only thing that we will probably be like, I want to go to the Ukraine for that. That's it, But there's nothing there. It's just calling boxing down the middle. It's just like, look, these guys are good. They could be from anywhere. It wouldn't matter to me.
Well, at the end of the day, I think Usyk's win was it was a sensational win. Was that?
Oh no! Oh yeah, I'm on mute. Oh hey, recognize. To be fair, wouldn't you say that in other countries, what we considered weird, they're probably considered weird about us in the United States?
Absolutely. I don't say that to downgrade their culture. I'm just saying because I never grew up around it. I'm sure. Look, they look like peaceful people, so that's something that we have in common, right? But the other things, the way maybe they dance, I might find it interesting, but I don't know how to do that. You get what I'm saying? Their music, I don't understand the words. You know what I'm saying? So I will feel uncomfortable. Where me and Jimmy, we speak the same language. We're almost, from the same region of America. So yeah, we were
same music, religion, clothes.
No, my point of right is this notion that you're a fanboy for certain people that there's no relation. You know what I'm saying? There's no relations between.
It's because people project,
exactly.
Right? They're projecting because, let's be honest, they don't even deny. I'm just talking about like a Wilder fan, for instance. A lot of them say straight up, "I'm just rolling with him because he's my people." They don't even and I don't blame them. That's a cultural people they're comfortable with, whatever. But then absolutely eviscerate anybody they think is backing Lomachenko for that reason. And let's be honest, that's the fucking truth.
Well, okay, so
but like you said, but that's not why we do back him. I back him because of his talent.
You know what, you guys? So we gave Usyk the honor roll, and you guys touched on something that I've been saying every once in a while, but I think it bears repeating as we start this new year. The people that support fighters because they share the same ethnicity or race, you gotta get away from that, because if a guy this is what happens with certain guys that get caught cheating, and then other people go, no, I support him because he's from he's Mexican or he's Alaskan or he's fucking American. It's like, yeah, but that's actually hurting you, because when people look at you, they'll go, these guys, they don't care who they're supporting, whether they're a scumbag, a cheater, or whatever. They support him just because they share the same race or nationality. And let me tell you something: if you lived in a small community, you would do what humanity has been doing for thousands of years in small communities. They get rid of the trash, the people that are psychopaths, the people that are liars, the people that don't pull their weight, because those people will get you killed. When there's scarcity of food, when you got enemies all around you, you can't afford to have a snake amongst you. And so you
didn't the Roman Empire used to do that? Didn't the Roman Empire for like, I don't know how many centuries, would take the 1% of their population that committed like crimes and shit and just took them out?
Feed them to the lions. Well, they would use them. They'd feed them to the lions. Also, cut the hands off thieves. So when you saw somebody missing a hand, you knew they were a thief.
Yeah,
yeah. And
so my point is like, I agree with what BDA just said. Like, look,
me too.
I want to cheer for a person that comes from the same island my family came from, but you can't just give me anybody. You know what I'm saying? Can't give me Verdejo, a guy that I can sense because I come from the island. The guy's troubled. I know where he comes from. Because he doesn't talk about it, just to look at him and say, yeah, I have a feeling about this kid. He's stuck in some other shit, And I was right. It turned out to be I was right. BDA would tell you, I've had discussions with these guys. I think I even made a video about him way before he did what he did. And I said, there's something wrong with that dude. I know where he comes from. He's from the same part of Puerto Rico as me. So
goes against his name, though. The Diamond, no, the Diamond. Yeah, we got a real honor roll piece of shit right there.
So I'm not going to cheat.
But what I do.
Hey, Jimmy. One thing. What happens if you would have lost your hand in like an accident back in the day, instead of like where you stole something and you cut it off an accident? You're pretty much fucked up.
Yeah, everybody's going to be labeled. Yeah, no, you're going to be labeled. No, absolutely. Listen, if that was the case, right, just Plant was the one white American, I believe, who fought for a title in how long? It's been a while, and I couldn't have not supported him any harder if I tried. You know what I mean? I was Canelo all the way. So yeah, no, I just never bought along those lines. But just funny that if a certain group of fans think we do, that's like sacrilege. They attack on that point. Fuck, that has all kinds of, things that go along with it. So it's just crazy. It's the hypocrisy to me that really kind of rubs me the wrong way. I know I might be an island amongst myself right now, but it does bother me.
You know what? And the other thing that you guys, goodbye. The other thing you guys touched upon was how you can, because I've heard that sometimes people go, well, humans are hardwired to stick to their own blah, blah, blah. But I disagree. I think culturally too, I think that usurps sometimes hanging out with people that look like you, because like you were saying, Jimmy, you're white. But if you start talking to some German dude, that's a completely different, they have a very different, I wouldn't say completely different, but a very different culture over there in Germany. Whereas if you were neighbors would recognize who's Puerto Rican or of Puerto Rican descent, I mean, he's still an American, but Puerto Rico, it's a complex thing over there. You guys can talk football, you guys can talk boxing, you sure you have commonalities in viewpoints when it comes to politics.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we end up hanging out together.
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. When people talk about that argument of, well, people stick to their own, blah, 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 it's not that simple. Let's just put it that way. So it reflects into boxing too. When people say, well, what's wrong with rooting for the black fighter or for the Mexican fighter? Well, there's something wrong because it's about rooting for the guy that puts on the best fights, not on the... In other words, what I'm trying to say is just because if you root for the guy that looks like you, why do you have to do that? I don't understand. What happens if you don't? Is that going to impact you on a personal level, economic level?
What if he's a bad person, right? Let's just say any race. What if the guy that you're rooting for is just a bad person? He's the type of person that if you left your daughter with or your son with, that he would hurt them.
Like reckon that let's say you leave your daughter. Let's say you leave your daughter with Rolly Romero. I mean,
right.
It's like
Rolly Romero has an Hispanic last name, so he comes from, that culture that I'm very familiar with. He actually, skin complexion wise, eye color wise, hair wise, he looks like a lot of people from my family. I would just say, I don't care how retarded he is. I'm sticking with him because he kind of looks like I know
exactly. Yeah, I mean that's exactly it, right?
New media. I was going to say, BDA, new media today. He could tell you, like when you asked what would happen if you didn't support him for that reason, and he didn't. And he dealt with it awesome. He threw it right back at him because he came at him with facts. I mean, he's a good guy, but he dealt with it. But he would comment. He would post what they'd say about him. I mean, the first thing they do is they question. They just tell him he's not really black. Terrible, vile names. It's crazy, dude. But anyway,
if you think about it, go ahead, Gonzalo. Go ahead.
Go ahead, BD. No, I'm just gonna say finish what you're saying because I don't want to cut you off. But then after you're finished, I'll go.
Well, no, go ahead.
No, this is where most Americans, or the fans that I see now, it might not be the majority, but it's this minority that are saying some things that's not good. Because this is what I used to think, and the old timers probably would agree with me. If you got foreigners, people from other countries coming and fighting to the United States, these fans shouldn't get all upset about that, I'm going to root for the American guy as opposed to the other guy that's coming over here, the guy that's come from another country that got skills, because you shouldn't be upset about that. A lot of these fans, because we're privileged to be hosting these fighters coming from other countries, great fighters coming from other places and putting their fights for the world to see here. In the United States, and people should appreciate that instead of being, I should root for the American. No, it's a privilege to have great fighters come to the United States and fight.
Exactly. That's the way some people should look at it, and that's why Gonzalo, it left a sour taste in my mouth after Lomachenko lost, and to see how many people actually harbored resentment against him. And this is a guy that fights everybody. He fights. He doesn't mind where the fight is. He'll go anywhere. I mean, he fights abroad, if you think about it, in the United States. He doesn't make any qualms about the money he gets, as far as I know, or about the ring size, or about the gloves. And yet, the people that always clamor about how, we want the best to fight the best, we want a guy that really fights everybody. Well, you had it in Lomachenko, and you threw him under the bus. So that's what really soured me about a lot.
BDA?
What's that?
When I show people, and this is of all race, right? Because, you know, despite like what you see on YouTube, it's not how most people behave in real life, right? And so I show people Lomachenko of all race, blacks, Latinos, whites that may not be aware of him. And they're like, yo, that fucking dude is a bad motherfucker, bro. That's their first reaction. That's a bad, like, they're impressed. I show them the knockout against Rocky. They don't care who Rocky Martinez is. They what they care about is like, how the fuck did he do that?
Mm-hmm.
How did he work that combination on the move, like moving around and still able to have that kind of power to knock a dude out like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive,
So
right?
It's like, what I'm trying to say is YouTube can be misleading. It's very, very misleading. Yeah, it's kind of like similar to certain people, but you might get the wrong impression by looking at certain segments and saying, man, that's how they behave? A lot of dudes, you know, like people talk about the LDBC. I get it, you know, and a lot of those dudes are blacks, but they're like a small segment. Most black people that I know don't, you know, like
Exactly,
they don't.
Yeah.
They don't act like that when it comes to boxing. No, they don't give a fuck about. That's not the number one thing going on in their fucking life, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They just can be loud. Oh, sorry, BDA, go.
Well, just to say, man, because somebody asked in the chat, who's the next person we're grading? We're done. We went through the fighters. I actually had to skip a couple of them because they weren't exactly the biggest names in boxing. But even then, it took us almost 3 hours to get through them. But as we start this new year, I just also want to say to people that the mission here at the Boxing Debate Arena, it's called the Boxing Debate Arena because initially Bucho, he's the one that started the channel. He wanted it to be a place where we would host debates from people all over the YouTube community. Overall, it morphed into something different, an opinion show. And, you know, we try to do things differently here where we stick to the boxing as much as possible. Yes, there's a lot of drama, and we'll get into the financial aspects of boxing and who's avoiding who, or if anybody's avoiding anybody, and if so, who is avoiding. But for the most part, we try to stick to what we can see, the clearest thing of all, which is the boxing. And it's pretty simple, really, boxing. I mean, it's two guys fighting, and most of the time, even the untrained eye can see who won and who lost. So that's the beauty of boxing. Now, of course, the more you learn about it, the better grasp you have on A, predicting fights, and B, calling what you're seeing in the ring. And that's what we're trying to do here at BD Boxing. We don't, we like certain fighters more than others, of course, but if a guy fucks up in the ring and loses, we'll, like Lomachenko. I know a lot of people think we're Lomachenko cocksuckers, but at the end of the day, we called him out on him being unable to finish Comey by doing that stupid thing of stopping and telling Comey's corner to stop the fight. That was arrogance. Like that was.
Me too. I totally agree with that, and I still love the fighter because if you tell me he's fighting, I'm watching. Right? No doubt. I'm taking time off. But it's like, dude, just look. I don't care if you feel bad for him, but just get him out of there, bro.
Right. And so
I don't give a fuck about that.
But what I'm trying to face here, I'll make it quick because I know I'm rambling, but. So what the mission here at BD Boxing is, we'll try to stick to the boxing as much as possible for you guys, because ultimately that's the most important thing. And of course, we all like a little drama, and we'll still have our open panel shows where we invite people, everybody. We just let anybody in, and we want some drama. We want people screaming at each other. We want people to call each other names and all that. But for the most, it's got to be 50-50. Yeah. It's got to be 50-50. You know what I mean? Or even 75-25. Or something, but it's all about the boxing. It's about the art form of boxing. Yes, I know it's pretentious to call it an art form, but they don't call it the sweet science for nothing. Go ahead, Gonzalo. Sorry.
Yeah, boxing is a science. Yeah, and it's pretty simple, kind of like what you're saying, but also it's complicated in the sense that it's like a combination lock. You put two different type of punches together, and then you get one sequence. But you mix and match the different punches, the styles, like the styles, the length of like one opponent to the other, all these little things, and the combinations are endless. They're like the Cypress and the Da Vinci Code, And my thing about boxing, I like unlocking that code. I like trying to figure out the code to that, the combination to that lock, and that's why it's interesting to me.
Absolutely.
Right. And exactly, it is very. If you talk about just the basic fundamentals of boxing, right? You start at the fundamentals. Some guys are fundamentally sound, But then it's the same thing as like a dancer. Why can some people do dances that you watch on TV, like with your mouth open? Like, how does he even do that? He's dealing with the same thing, the human body that you have. It's what you can do with it, right? There's just different levels. And it's the same thing in boxing. Like, you see Lomachenko, he just does things I've never seen another fighter do. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that. I don't give a fuck if the dude was whatever he was. And you, when you see that people don't appreciate it for a certain reason, that just, they're not fans, but then they make everything ugly. So, but whatever.
It's part of the, I mean, the great thing is about us here is we can adapt. If it's not about the boxing and you give us a little drama, we'll try to turn that drama into gold and entertainment. Because at the end of the day, this is about entertaining people out there. It's not just about us. Because that's the other thing. We can't spend every show talking about the intricacies of a jab or how to slip a shot or how to weave. You know what I mean? But it's fun. But we also, it's about the people. This show is about the people that come here and give their opinions. So, I mean, I'm happy with what we've got, and hopefully you guys enjoy it too. And we thank you for being here. Other than that, look, we just went through a whole stock of fighters, and I think it really does show. Once you remember the fighters we talked about, 2021 was a good year, and hopefully 2022 is a good year as well. I think we only gave honor roll 4 times here. Let's see, we gave Stephen Fulton honor roll, Josh Taylor, Canelo, and Usyk. And even Usyk, that was a hard one because, I mean, it was just one fight. We could have very easily just stuck to pass. So I like how we did it this year. We had high standards. Very high standards. Actually, we always have high standards. We didn't give out that many fails. I don't know if maybe our standards were lax, or maybe that means boxing really stepped it up in 2021. But we'll see what happens in 2022. And that's about it. I'm going to try to come up with a show on Thursday.
BDA, I'm confused. Well, somebody wrote in the chat that Gonzalo, I can hear your weight through your windpipe. What does that mean?
I can hear your wind through your windpipe. Maybe because
I can hear your weight through your windpipe. It's in the chat.
Who said that?
Yeah, somebody I think's trolling you, dude. They're trying to. But when somebody says that, they're saying they hear you struggling breathing, like it's labored breathing. People who are overweight or labor breathe. You know what I mean? So I think they're trolling because you don't hear that. I think maybe it's just the way you're talking, or it's trolling.
Yeah, no, I am a little overweight. Maybe I'm about 185, 190.
Well, we got a bunch of degenerates. We got to remember, everybody trolls each other here on this show. Like,
yeah, dude, you're not obese.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're obese, then I'm obese, I guess.
Exactly.
No, it's like my legs hurt every time I pace. Like I'm kind of like huffing because my legs hurt. Like I'm in pain
but there's
right
other reasons for that, though. You know that we don't talk about it. There's other reasons, but yeah. So, but when there's no fights going on, sometimes it's good to muck up to the fucking like I don't know what you would say, rag boxing, like talk about the rumors and the bullshit and the stories, because sometimes that's fun too. That some of the best shows have been when there's not like about a fight. So
yeah, and by the way, shout out to K-Not for his contribution with the super chat. He says, no one ever mentions how biased media is for Americans. Hit and runs, beating women, PED scandals, always getting covered up. Yeah, shout out to Knot for his contribution. And let me say something about that too, because that was the reason why people were shitting on Lomachenko, saying, oh, well, it's the media hyped him up, Bob Arum, Top Rank, ESPN. It's like, well, you saw how they did the same thing with Shakur Stevenson. It's got nothing to do with race. It's about who, if a certain promoter says, hey, I got the power and I want this guy, I want you to lather him up and really push him as a great fighter. That's what they're going to do. It has nothing to do with race. I mean, it has a little something, don't get me wrong, because if you get a Mexican who's entertaining, skilled, and popular with the people, they're going to try to push him in because he's Mexican. He's going to get that Mexican market. And shout out to Norman Luis for his contribution with the super chat. No message, but shout out to Norman. Really appreciate it, man.
Well, if the media also buries a story in boxing or doesn't cover it, I would think that's kind of helping. Like Davis, I mean, how much did Mike Hopkins, who really wrote about what he did? Ran from the scene, facing all those felonies. Nobody talks about it. I mean, to the point, Steven Espinoza pulls fucking Rolly Romano on just, Me Too accusation. Just pulls him. But the other dudes, taking a court, arraigned on fucking 8 felonies, sends kids to the hospital, and he lets him fight. To me, that was hypocrisy of its finest, because he's the name. So it wasn't about you really care about women. It was just it was a virtue signal.
Exactly, yeah.
So that was gross.
And by the way, we got JB in the chat says, y'all gotta be realistic. Soccer fans go to the World Cup mainly to cheer for the players of their country, their people. They don't go to cheer on the best teams. Does this make them bad people? Well, first of all, it kind of does.
Different sport.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's a different sport, different context. And I do hate when people say, and I know sometimes people do it by mistake, so I don't besmirch them too much for it. When people say, yeah, we lost yesterday, when the Mexico played Nicaragua, or, fucking Brazil, Argentina. It's like, you weren't fucking playing. What's the matter with you, man? You weren't even on the fucking in the stadium. So that's one thing that the people do relate to the people that play or fight. But that's the other thing with the fighting. I wanted to make that distinction too, because some people say, "Well, I root for a guy." They'll say that they will root for a guy if he's good, even though it doesn't matter if the guy's an asshole, a jerk. He beats his wife, whatever. And you'll go, well, why do you do that? Why do you root for the guy? Well, because he's good. I like his skills. But you got to make the distinction. This isn't completely an art form. In other words, if I see a painting and it's a very good painting, and the guy's a jerk off, the painter, I can still appreciate the painting, right? But boxing is there's a different dimension added to it, and that is that it's a competition. It's 2 guys against one another. It's not an art form or a painting or a music where it's isolated. It's about 2 guys competing. So naturally, you're going to root for the guy that's not a fucking asshole. It has really nothing to do with whether he's skilled.
It speaks to character, right? If you see a guy identifying with a pimp, well, I mean, what does that say about the guy, right?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's just it's really simple. If you see people identifying with trash, I think they're telling you that they're trash. That's what they're telling you. You might want to give the guy a benefit of the doubt. I've been long enough to know that when you can identify with trash, pretty much you're trash.
That's excellent point.
Yeah,
recognize. Just want to say real quick because somebody says Eparokua says nothing wrong with patriotism. That's true. There's nothing wrong with patriotism. I mean, you'll ask anybody here. We like the country we live in. I mean, I know Jim is super patriotic, but we're talking about sports. You know what I mean? It's not exactly saving the world when it comes to it. So like Recognize said, if you're rooting for somebody, even though they might be a jackass, I mean, think about it. If a guy's a jackass with 98% of the people, you think he wouldn't be a jackass with you if you had to live with the person? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
He definitely would. He'll probably have maybe one interview with him that goes a little well. In the second interview, there'll be some static. But, like I said, man, I just let people kill each other off. That's the best thing to do.
Just watch, enjoy the show, right?
But listen, never interrupt trash while, they're trashing each other. Just let them do it.
It's great advice.
If your country loses in the World Cup, you're probably going to go on to root for another team that you consider a world power. Teams are like world powers in soccer. It takes many years in the making. There's levels to that game too, but it's a group of people. And if your team loses, you're probably going to root to one of the teams that's probably like a favorite to win. Germany, Argentina, Brazil. Yeah, man.
Well, that's a good point. Like that, but again, that's football. But it is true. I mean, the British. Ask any Brit. Once they lose in the World Cup, who do they root for? Anybody that plays against Germany. That's their logic, and you know what? Hey, it goes back to almost 100 years or 100 years. So, I mean, but like I said, different sports. And again, if somebody wants to root for another person and they're a jerk off, at the end of the day, I don't mind. I mean, I dislike it, but hey, it's not the end of the world. And like Recognize said, it does let you know what type of person you're dealing with. So, I mean, we made too much of this.
B-Day, one more thing. When people, it's like when it's one person. It gets kind of like fishy in the sense that you cannot really idolize a person and cross the lines, like idolizing him from the sport to like so much of the human. Yeah, he might have good qualities about that person, but you cannot idolize him to the point where it's just a man. We're all put on our socks, our pant legs the same way when we get up in the morning. That person also does too, right?
Well, I don't know, man. I put it on in a completely different style, but it's my style, and I won't reveal it. But I understand what you're saying, Gonzalo. It's you don't. I mean, even the Bible tells you don't want to go around idolizing people because they'll let you down. I mean, especially look, if I'm going to idolize somebody that's really going against the system or going sticking to their values and sacrificing something for that. Boxing stars, athletes overall, that's not the people I idolize. I respect boxers a lot more than I respect people from other sports because the grind is different. But at the end of the day, it's kind of hard to say as a grown man, I idolize an athlete. I mean, that just doesn't happen. And by the way, just real quick, another little point. Remember when we had Clarence Bones Adams on the show, and he was a big Marvin Hagler fan, and he was disappointed when he met Hagler and he told him, "Hey, can I?" He wanted to chat with him a little bit or his autograph. And Hagler said, "Yeah, I'm busy right now. I don't have time to talk." And then he goes on to talk with a bunch of other people who were black people, and it just Clarence Bones Adams said, "Man, that really fucking disappointed me because obviously he did not have time to talk. He just didn't want to talk to me." So the only one that will not disappoint you is Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. So stick to that. That's your safe bet. But go ahead. Somebody was going to say something.
Yeah, recognize, I believe.
Nah.
Want me to talk more about Jesus or?
Yeah, talk more about Jesus, please.
I'm talking about Jesus over here. That's the name of a song, by the way. By
Puerto Rican Jesus? You talking about that guy?
I don't know who that is, man. But listen, at the end of the day,
guy from the block, man. He's got like 3 baby mamas from my block.
You know, one thing that I also pay attention to, BDA, is like, when is the next fighter? I don't care where he's from, anywhere in the world. When is the next guy coming out, like a Manny Pacquiao or like just like a great fighter, like a Duran? That keeps me thinking and interested in the sport. He's got to come like once every 10 years, right?
That's right.
Well, I'd say keep your eyes on Xander. I'd say if that kid continues down the route he's going, his trajectory at 19, being as professional he is, listening is just. You see his last outing. It's pretty dominating. I think this guy has the chance to be the next big Puerto Rican, superstar, which makes boxing always much better.
Exactly.
But him and I think the 2 Davis brothers, they're blue chippers. I know is it Carolyn, the older one? He definitely is. That kid's. I think he's going to be someone to deal with.
But it's interesting. Like, go ahead, Regulus.
Oh, brother. No, go. I was done.
I said recognize because I thought he was going to say something.
I said I'm all right. Are you all right?
No, but I thought you said I'm all right, Spider. No, I thought you said I'm all right, Spider. That's what
I am all right. You're not all right.
Okay, no, but I thought you said all right. Anyway,
are you gonna? We could do this all night. Like, are you gonna give me my drink or what?
Yeah.
Most of the prospects that will come out that are going to be a great fighter, and I'm not saying all that it cannot be like a Xander Zayas that's getting promoted and getting fed to the public. Okay, he's good, he's got talent, we're going to develop him. But some of the stars come out of like nowhere, like a Pacquiao.
You're looking for the hidden gems.
Yeah, that's right.
Nobody knows about you spot him one night before anybody even knows him. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's always cool to be able to do that.
I think like that one kid, William Cepeda, the guy that beat Hector Tanajara, he's kind of like going to be the next Julio Cesar Chavez, to be honest.
That's high praise right there, man. I mean, look, I stay up too sometimes thinking, well, not stay up, but I mean, I sometimes when I have free time, I go like Gonzalo, like you said, who's the next guy that's going to come up? Because nobody really sees him coming. I mean, I know Jimmy knew about Mike Tyson back in the early 80s, but I mean, how many people knew who the fuck Mike Tyson was, right? Unless you knew the guy personally. It's like Pacquiao, for example. He was knocking people out, didn't have a lot of technique, so you go, okay. Then all of a sudden he comes in. Because you got to remember, Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, Nassim Hamed, those were the guys that were the cream of the crop. And then a guy comes along that's better than them overall. I mean, because he did end up beating them more than once. And you go, what the fuck? So you just never know who's going to come out, man. It could be somebody from...
I predicted Pacquiao. I know you guys didn't know me back then. I did.
Yeah.
Don't
idolize boxers. But when's the next Messiah come? When's the next Messiah?
You never know, man.
and about Mike Tyson, not to put him on some like crazy cultural pedestal, but it's true. It wasn't even just like everybody was talking about it. Well, it's Lowell is a fight town. That's where they hold, the Nationals, the Golden Gloves, the New Englands, and sometimes the Nationals. There's pro fights there all the time. Anyways, it's a fight town. So back when boxing, especially amateur boxing, was huge, he had like this aura about him. Everybody was talking about him. You know what I mean? You keep the week before he came in, because he was just like just blowing dudes out in one round in the amateurs. Like everybody was talking about this crazy man-child with these dinner plate hands just taking dudes' heads off. And it took a fucking monster of a fucking no-neck Irishman to win on points. But still, like he said, this was the amateurs, he would have killed me.
Jeez,
so he was only 16. He was only 16. So
let's face the facts.
Because that's why everybody's talking about him. What's that,
and let's face the facts that we're talking about who the next guy is going to be. Could be somebody from 2022. It could happen in 2022. He could make his first appearance, maybe in untelevised undercard, maybe in a televised undercard, but you just never know because there's a lot of factors to consider. Could be a guy that's had a couple of losses, but who's a tremendous talent. And all of a sudden, he gets serious and just starts running people over. Because Pacquiao had losses before he went on that tremendous run. But it also bears mentioning that if somebody's going to be a phenom in boxing, it's not going to be about the skills necessarily. He's got to be talented. He's got to have a mix of speed, power, or incredible athleticism, or one of those things, right? It can't just be skills.
You know what's a chance, man? If you worked on the skills, I know this is going to sound crazy. You worked on a little bit of his skills, changing tempos, stuff like that. Obviously all that stuff.
Nico Ali.
Who?
Nico Ali.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, Nico Ali. Sure.
Sorry, gotta go.
No, for me, this is going to sound crazy, but Isaac Cruz.
Huh.
Yeah, Isaac Cruz, man. Maybe he gets with a good trainer, a trainer that can, we know he has pretty good defense, right? When he in the pocket, in the inside, he keeps his hands kind of tucked the right way. He's got a chin.
I think with Cruz, it'll always be about his opponent. He'll have to, you know what I mean?
He got heart.
Yeah.
He got some heart on him,
Oh yeah, he's a come forward, busy guy. I think it'll always be about his opponent. I think if he fights a guy who gets on his bike and knows how to be on his bike, he can make him look, more ordinary. You know what I'm saying? I just think Tank is that limited going backwards. Like he didn't know how to deal with that.
You know what, man, though? But I understand what Recognize is saying because Isaac Cruz, think about it. Tank Davis, say what you want about Mario Barrios. He was a legitimately bigger guy and he couldn't handle Tank Davis's power. Cruz, I think I only saw him get a little staggered, a little bit once. Other than that, he kept those gloves up, tight, nothing. He was virgin defense. Nothing was getting through. And he actually caught fucking Davis with some big shots too, snapping his head around. So if he refines himself at his age, he's only 23, we said, 24?
23, yeah.
Yeah.
And those Mexican guys, BD, the Chilangos that's what they call them for the people that don't know. The Chilangos are the guys from the capital. They got extremely hard heads. That's something that, because I boxed some of those guys before. If it was only like playing in my backyard, back in my neighborhood in TJ when I was a little kid, yeah, here and there. But they're extremely tough. They have a hard head. They keep coming forward.
Didn't people from Tepito too, right? Within the capital, they say they're fucking tough as well. In fact, there's
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, it looks like he's got, I don't know what's the correct terminology. I'm not trying to be insultive. Did I call it Indian blood?
How dare you, man?
What's the native or indigenous?
No,
it looks like he's got indigenous blood. Like Mayan almost. His eyes. That's all. I just wanted to say that, brother.
No. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Like what?
Like indigenous. So like, you know what I mean? Like the
I don't know what you
warrior people. I just know what it is. I just watched Apocalypto today. It was fucking awesome movie.
What do you mean? Yeah, it's cool. What do you mean, you people? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, what do you mean, you people? You better watch it there. Yeah. You better watch it there, Jimmy. You're on thin ice, my friend.
You're on thin ice right now, Jimmy.
I'm thin. I got the Mexicans hating me too.
No, but it's because over in Mexico, it's an insult if you call somebody Indio, which is stupid. Because
you know what? I'll go to Mexico and I'll say, you know something? This is the kind of guy I am, BD. I bet you know something. You an Indio.
Oh,
right.
Now wait a minute.
What do they say? Indigenous? What's the word they use? Or are they just not this is a subject that doesn't get broached.
Well, it's because we have a lot of hang-ups in Mexico, racial hang-ups, and because we were essentially colonized.
Oh, I see. So, European against. No, I understand. Yeah,
right.
I got you.
But I mean, it's we all of Mexicans have, to a certain degree, native blood in them, and there's nothing wrong with that. I understand. But I mean, again, it's a fucking stupid. Again, we get into the stupid subject of race and all that. But I want to say,
and again, I was just because true story. I just watched Apocalo. I mean, I'm saying the name wrong, but and he looks just like a lot of the people there. And there was some crazy motherfuckers, warriors, man. Woo.
But don't forget though. Don't forget. There's a lot of things made up and exaggerated. Like the Aztecs were into human sacrifice. They were crazy. But don't watch out when you hear those claims about how they sacrificed 100,000 people in one day. That's statistically that's impossible, man. I'd actually like to get some of the Holocaust people in there because they'll tell you about the numbers. they'll actually reduce the numbers, man. Well, the
Mayans did it too, wasn't it? The Mayans, the sun gods, they're the ones who actually didn't they do a lot of sacrifices too?
Yeah, you're walking on thin ice.
I know, man. I know. I think we're gonna get shut down real quick. No, but the fucking Aztecs weren't sacrificing hundreds of thousands of people a day. It's just that's impossible. You know how long that would take? Let's ask.
I believe it. I believe it. I believe it.
No, you don't.
Where did they get them? I mean, where did they have them in a nice fucking orderly line?
Don't worry about it.
You know what I mean? You would think at some point if there's 100,000, they would say, instead of going up there and letting that dude fucking spit on me and jab and pull my heart out, why don't we just fight and die here?
Well, that's actually what they were used to do, Jimmy. Like first of all, that Apocalypse. I like Mel Gibson's movies. I think they're gritty, they're raw, but historically, he doesn't know what he just didn't really. Maybe he knew and he changed all of it for artistic purposes, but. They weren't. I mean, the people that you saw in Apocalypse in the beginning, the tribesmen, they weren't fucking. That's like in the Caribbean or something. They weren't that people around. That's what Bucho told me too, by the way. But that people knew what Tenochtitlan. That was a capital, right? Tenochtitlan, I think, the Aztec people.
We gotta go.
Yeah. Wasn't that supposed to be Mayan? So wouldn't that be Central American or Southern Mexico? I don't know.
That's the other thing. The timeline. That's the other thing. The timeline's all fucked up because when the Aztecs arrived, when the Spaniards arrived in North America, in America, it was the fucking Aztecs. It wasn't the Mayans. The Mayans were long gone by the time.
Exactly. That's what confused me, dude. Thank you. I'm like, wait a minute. They said these were Mayan because they said in the subtitles Mayan, right, as they were talking. But when I saw the Spanish, I'm like, wait a minute. I know I'm not stupid, man. The Spanish landed at the Aztecs and they tricked the leader and everyththing. So, but so all right, cool. So he did fuck that up.
Yeah, he did.
I was questioning my sanity.
By the way, fucking Mel Gibson, he was supposed to do. Everyone's talking about a movie that's going to come out called Northmen. I think it's about the Vikings, and I think it's produced by that A1 studio, which they always put out apparently good movies. But Mel Gibson, he wanted to direct a movie about the fucking Vikings, and he was going to do it like he did with The Passion of the Christ and Apocalypto. He was going to do it in Old Norse. That would have been fucking great, but now these people beat him to the punch. So I think he's gonna do Passion 2, believe it or not. That's not a joke. He's actually gonna do a sequel to the Passion of the Christ.
That would have been awesome doing it in Old Norse. All right, I loved it. I liked it. They used the language. It made it real. It made it seem just better. I would have hated if they fucking talked English.
Yeah, man. I mean, with that fucking British accent, it's like, come on, man.
No, you have to have them speak the native language to make a movie like that. I thought it was an excellent. I don't know why I never saw it before. I just never thought to see it, and I don't mind. It was excellent.
I don't mind British accents as long as it sounds like Stu.
Yeah,
Mayans. How many Mayans should have sounded like Stu, right?
If you get a bunch of people that can sound like Stu, I'm watching that movie.
Man, every time and John Gonzalez can back me up on this. Every time Mel Gibson comes up on the Second Renaissance, we should do a special episode just on Passion of the Christ, because that was think about it. That was 15 years ago. No, more. No, it came out in 2004.
2004.
So it's been 17
Where's
years.
Where's Mel Gibson from?
Australia.
Yes.
You know our boy, like this guy that we love talking to on YouTube, Jed, Outlaw Boxing, right?
Yeah, he's shout out to Jed. Yeah,
like he told me this amazing ability that they have, because he when he speaks, he sounds clear as fuck to me. You know what I'm saying? I can understand everything he says. Maybe a little terminology he'll use, that I might be off. But he told me something like, dude, if I wanted to, I could talk the way we always talk to each other, and you wouldn't understand a fucking word that I'm saying. He was telling me, like, they have the ability to speak in a certain way where everybody can understand them. But when they're by themselves, they can talk where most people from, at least from our side of the world, wouldn't understand a word they're saying. So Mel Gibson has that. Mel Gibson has that ability too, if I had to guess.
Well, he does now. I think because he's been here 30 years. He moved here when he was young. But remember when he first did? I don't know if you even saw it. The first Road Warrior, the original one, when it was filmed. They dubbed his voice. They didn't even use his real voice. They dubbed it over.
No kidding.
Because when it was released, was so thick. Yeah, they didn't want. I guess they didn't want Australian accents for whatever reason. I think they wanted it like it was portrayed in it's some. They don't think they actually say the country in it, but they dubbed his voice. I know that there was a version they dubbed his voice.
Okay,
which was strange. But but he did. No, he blended, and I'm sure when he got here, dude, when he made that bank, you take voice lessons too to help. Do whatever you have to do to get rid of it.
Oh yeah.
The Australian accent. I think it's cool.
The accent goes away naturally. I remember when I used to be stationed in Kansas, and I was there for 3 years. When I came back across the border over here, my cousin says, "Stop speaking like that." But I didn't try to speak like that. I just got used to being around those people that I picked up that accent. You see a lot of like Hugo Sanchez, a Mexican soccer player. When he went to play in Spain, he came back to Mexico speaking like that. I don't think you do it on purpose. It just grows in you.
I know what you mean, Gonzalo. Like my stepmother's family, they're more southern. So obviously I lived with them for a long time, right? So I still live around them. So I noticed I never spoke the way I spoke until I started being around them.
Definitely tell you lost a lot of your New York accent.
Well, I mean, remember I lived there first. I lived in Florida first before I moved. Before I moved to New York. So I lived with them for a while. Then I got that New York accent, but still.
It's hard to fucking pin you down. Anybody who hears your voice, they don't know where the fuck is he from.
No, but it's true what Gonzalo says. When you're around people a lot, you kind of pick up their accent. Oh,
of course. Madonna, what about that idiot? She moved to England for 2 weeks and she came back and tried to talk like she was British. Remember that embarrassment? But it is true. You do. Yeah, you do. Absolutely. It's just the way you constantly hear words being said a certain way. You will absolutely do it. I've seen people come here, bro, who speak well and live in Massachusetts and start dropping their R's.
I'm never getting rid of my accent. It makes people second guess where they think I'm from. By the way, shout out to Gnot for his contribution with the super chat. He says, "Did you know that Nico Ali's grandfather was a boxer?" No, we didn't, Gnot, man.
Well, I did. Dude, I just heard the other day, dude. He's Muhammad Ali's grandson?
I mean, it's almost like ESPN isn't. It's like ESPN should mention that a little bit more, right? I mean, why aren't they talking about them?
Jesus Christ!
It reminds me of Phil Leotard in The Sopranos. I did 20 fucking years. Yeah, we know, man. You can't stop talking about.
Yeah, we know, man. How many times are you gonna tell us you did 20 years? We understand.
I mean, Joe Tessitore is I mean, I like him a lot, but Ali's grandson lands a left. Oh, the grandson landed all right. It's just I mean, how much more can they push that?
Andre Ward, there was something about Ali's grandson, Nico, when he landed. It's dude, you keep saying Ali's grandson. Why do you keep doing that?
Exactly, man. I mean, hey, what are they trying to come up with here? And by the way, we got a phone call.
Not for nothing. Didn't he have 14 kids? I mean, he had a shit ton of kids. So yeah, that must have shit.
Ali had 13
Ali. I think didn't he have a lot of children? I believe he had a lot of kids.
6,
I thought he had more than that. Oh wow, I thought he had a lot of kids.
5 or 6.
I thought he had more than that.
And then you think about how many.
I met Layla. Not that I met her. I saw Layla Ali in person. I want to say it was in the Marriott in Manhattan. She was wearing a really nice dress. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you.
Why would you lie?
I felt attracted to her. When I saw her in person, I was like, wow.
You know what? She looks
kind of hit it.
No, hell no. I mean, I mean, first of all, she won't fuck me. You know what I'm saying? She's not gonna cheat on her husband that I know of. I think she was married at that time.
Don't sell yourself short, man. You're selling yourself short.
Yeah, you never know. But she was. I saw her. I glanced at, like, I happened to glance that way, and I was like, saw her, and she was like smiling at the camera. Somebody was like taking pictures of her, and I was like, man, is it me or I find this woman attractive, bro? I will bang her out.
She's way more. She's way more as a boxer. She's way more attractive than the female boxer we got now. I'll tell you that much.
They say that. BD, they say that the women get the looks from the father. A lot of girls get the looks from the father.
All right, I didn't need to hear that.
Yeah,
but listen,
there's some truth to that. Yeah,
no, this is true. Like Muhammad Ali was a good looking man, honestly, and so he had a daughter. The daughter's a good looking female. Yeah, that's the way it is.
Hey, by the way, we got a phone call here. Hold on a second. Yes, you're on the air.
You fucking offend me. And
What's
you
going on
don't
here?
care about anyone but yourself. And your
That's Mel Gibson.
fucking stupid
Mel.
failed career. And it's ruined us. Because you...
Yeah, that we talked
Mel,
about
what are
in
you
Second
talking about,
Renaissance. We talked about that in Second Renaissance, how his wife or ex-wife, she really did him dirty, man, by recording him without his knowledge and all that. I mean, she egged him on, got him to act like a nut job, and then she pressed record. Really dirty stuff. You gotta watch out who you
without a doubt.
Yeah.
That's how she did it. Fired him up and then hit record the minute his voice at a certain level. There's actually recorders that you set them for a certain decibel. So they're going 24/7. Seriously, lawyers give them to women who are looking to get a divorce. And the minute the guy reaches a certain point yelling, it automatically records all their arguments. But it only catches the dude when he's reached that point. So before that bitch could be fucking calling him needle dick the bug fucker, all kinds of nasty shit, right?
Dude, I watched the
and then
video.
she acts all calm.
I watched this video, Jimmy, right? Real quick, a little bit of off boxing right now. But so it was this dude that spent 5 years in prison. 5 years in prison for not paying child support. Okay? For not paying child support.
Damn.
Now, check this out. He hooked up with this girl one time. Even the girl admits they only hooked up one time. And we all know that it only could take one time, right? So he hooked up with this chick one time. He doesn't even he said, "Look, honestly, I don't even remember, but I think I was wearing a condom when I hit it. But maybe I did it, So he lives in one part. I think this happened in Ohio. Okay, not 100% sure, but this happened in Ohio. So he lived in one side of Ohio, let's say more western, and she lived more eastern. So if anybody from Ohio could tell you, that's a big distance, right? He gets summons to go to a court where she's at 3 years later, and he doesn't show up. He's like, "Fuck that! I'm not going over there. Like this is crazy. I almost forgot about this girl." Until like I got this letter and figured out who it was. So he fails to show up to court. He gets arrested, right? They send fucking like some federal marshals to go get his ass. It was weird, right? Meanwhile, it's all proven, BDA, all proven, right? This is no over exaggeration by this dude. They take him, they arrest him for 5 years. He does 5 years in prison. He comes out. He all he wants to do is take a test. The girl tells him, takes him to says that she proved in court that he was. This is crazy. She must have. I don't know how she did this, but she got semen sample to check, so they can test the child's. Whether the child is his. It comes up 99.9% that the child is whoever that semen sample was. He said, "Listen, Your Honor, I really doubt it was me that she got the semen from." He's like, I don't believe that.
It wasn't.
Yeah, so what happened? They order a test. This bitch knows that's not his kid, right? You can just see the reaction. She knows it's not his kid. He gets up there. He comes with his kid, right? And he's like, "Listen, this is my kid. This kid looks like me. If you could look at his, And she's saying that this kid is my son. He's he's even being nice. Like, he's a handsome kid, but I don't believe he's mine. I don't believe that child is mine. The kid is like 20 years old already at this point. They take a test, and it's not his. They took 2 tests just to make sure, and it's not his. And the bitch's only reaction was, well, you put yourself in this. No, you are a lying bitch. Why are you trying to point the blame at the dude?
This is the truth.
That's scandalous. Exactly. Well, she had to go get the spunk off the dude who impregnated her.
Really?
You know what I mean? Exactly. Hey, I need you to fucking rub one out in a cup. I'm gonna go throw some guy in prison. Like, think about it. That's vile. That's the shit that you. Oof.
That is something that I hate to say.
And he look. He said, I hooked up with her one time. She had told me that she was in a look. This happens all the time, bro. Like, there's nothing special about this. Everything makes sense. He said, look, I met this girl one time through people that I know. When I spoke to her, I remember her telling me that she was in a on and off again relationship. He's like, I don't know who the dude is. I barely remember her name. It was just one time we hooked up. I lived in one part of. Girls do this all the time. They do this all the time.
But imagine how shitty of an attorney that, not to, can continue, but how shitty of an attorney that they wouldn't have at least got the fucking, had that that tested.
He
DNA
requested
before going to prison? Like, yeah, exactly. That's crazy.
Prison, while he was in prison, he says, look, because I took this as nothing, right? I just thought this was nothing. It landed me in prison. And when he was in prison, he kept requesting for like, yo, listen, let's do a DNA test then. Right? And there was some law by default, he's legally the father and legally owes her. It's something about a default. I think I know what it is. I think in every state it varies a little.
Well, if he puts his name down on the fucking birth certificate too in some states.
He never did. He never did. They just rendered him the father.
So she put it in.
Right. She put it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, listen, fellas, we gotta go.
Crazy.
That's a scary story, and I've heard. We can talk about. Actually, we did an episode about that on Second Renaissance, I believe. But I mean, it's just you gotta watch yourself, fellas. Get yourself a good lawyer. Call Rafal Shapiro if you need to. I got his number if anybody wants it. He's not let's just face the facts. He's kind of a high level attorney, so. If you even have to ask who is Rafal Shapiro, you can't really afford him. So anyway, listen, fellas, we gotta go. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Shout out to everybody that donated with the super chat, everybody that called in. Of course, the panelists, recognize Jaime, Gonzalo, Chief was here, Stu as well. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to Eparokua in the chat. Uncle Phil says, you're not qualified, bro. I don't know what his means. Yeah, but you can call in, man. We got a whole bunch of avenues, and you can call in on the next show, everybody. Or everybody can drop by on the Open Lines Friday, where we usually open up the Discord so everybody can jump in. Shout out to Baltasar, the Quags, Triple JJJ, who else? Heretic, the
We open up the portals.
That's right, the portal into the chaos, the world of chaos, the underworld. Shout out to Super Anderson Aldo, Eparokua, DJN1, Gulsar Hussein, John Gonzalez, Iceman, Daniel Simpkins, Norman Luis, shout out to Norman, Rafael Garza, shout out to Rafael. Everybody, guys, you know who you are. I gotta go. Thank you for joining us. We'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy. Don't forget to hit the